So, good evening, everybody, and welcome. We hope that you're going to enjoy this evening's China Grand Prix. We'll be underway very shortly. We should be looking to start round about 7:30 with the qualifications. Hopefully, speak to you soon. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to F1 tonight. And we are here in 2018 season race 3, and we are in China. Well, we've got a full set of runners this evening. There's only one driver which we are lacking, which is the Force India. Miguel Torni, unfortunately, will not be competing with us this evening. But on the plus side, we have our Season 3 winner from 2017 competing for his first time in the 2018 season, Ruben Bowman, and we are very much looking forward to see this driver this evening and to see how he is actually going to do. He is with Red Bull and his teammate Martin Parder Cooper as well, so we're very much looking forward to that. He will actually be going out first on the grid on this practice, just to really celebrate his win from last season. So he'll be the first out of the pits onto the track in Q1 as we follow him now. And this driver set a phenomenal season last year, and we're certainly looking for him to hopefully repeat it, or at least do likewise this year. So there goes Ruben Bowman for the first time in a 2018 season in his new team colours of Red Bull. So very much looking forward to that. I should hopefully be joined by my co-commentator Jottr very soon, so do bear with me when I bring him in, because obviously I'll be going on to the menu, so you won't see an awful lot going on, but hopefully only be a few seconds. So there goes Ruben Bowman, our Season 3 champion from last year. He was with Haas, so he'll be looking to set his opening time. We have all the other drivers with us. As I said, the only one that we are lacking this evening is Miguel Torni from Force India. We saw an amazing race last week. We saw that the Ferraris of Sebastian Bogart and Bastianini set well, some fantastic qualification times and get on the front row. They did finish with the podium as well, but up there with them on that podium was the driver Dami Hartmann, and he did a fantastic job last week as well for McLaren. So it was a Ferrari 1-3 and McLaren was second, so great result from them, fantastic to see. With regards to the actual standings as they are at this moment in time, well, we're only into race 2, but already Sebastian Bogart has taken lead in the championship with 50 points. Nicky Visser for Sauber is in second with 24 points. He's finished consistently twice in 4th place, so that puts him on 24 points. 3rd place we have Xavier Zima. He's on 18 points, and he's equal with Bastianini, the Ferrari driver, as well on 18 points. Then we have Dami Hartmann, Ryan Dronig, who's our new driver to Williams. Didn't have a great race last week, but hopefully should be able to correct that this week. Ruud Window, who's a teammate, didn't have a great start in Australia, but did well last week in Bahrain. So Williams are currently 4th in the Constructors' Championship, with McLaren in 3rd. Sauber are in 2nd, thanks to Nicky, and Ferrari are currently in 1st. Well, we're at China, different track, different setup. I know that we've had quite a number of drivers practicing this week, and we've certainly seen times in the low 130s. So we would expect to see that and more for this evening. So we're with Ruben Bowman, formerly Stoner in last year's season. He's with Red Bull, and he's just going across the line now. And he sets a time of 1:33.1. Great opening time there for Ruben in the Red Bull. And just quickly check what tyres he's on. He's actually on a set of softs, interestingly enough, and it looks like everyone else is going to be looking to go for the ultra soft. So all the other drivers will be coming out, and there's Nicky Visser now. he's just about to start his fast lap for us. And I'll wait for Jottr to come in to go through the technicalities of this track. As we know, just to refresh people's memories, 2018 season, we've had a few glitches, unfortunately, in the championship multiplayer version. We do have a glitch which seems to be reoccurring, which is a pit glitch, whereas drivers go into pit, they come out, but unfortunately for ourselves spectating, we don't see them come out, we just see them stuck in the pits. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we won't have too many issues this evening with regards to that. With regards to the actual game itself, a few additions. ERS is a new addition to the game this year, so the drivers actually have full control of the ERS system. So that's the electronic recovery system, where that gives them extra power or extra boost through the electrical motor that they have on the engine. Obviously, they need to harvest that energy as well, which is generally done during braking. So they need to be able to deploy that and control that. Equally as well, tyres. Now, we had certainly tyre temperatures which were in 2017, but this year we have slight difference. We have the main core temperature, but we also have the actual carcass temperature as well. So both temperatures need to be at their optimum time for the drivers to obviously get the most out of their tyres and therefore the most out of their cars. So Ruben has set the opening time. Oh, and Xavier Seema has already broken it there with a 1:32, but soon Bastidbreen in the Ferrari sets a 1:31.8. So we're certainly seeing, as I said, those low 130s and lower than I've seen. So Bastidbreen sets a 1:31.8 for Ferrari. Xavier Seema for Mercedes, formerly UF Gamble, and very fast driver, certainly, and he's certainly shown that. And oh, look at this. We now have Daniel Tull, who's actually set the fastest time. Fantastic job there. So Daniel Van Tol, Xavier's teammate, formerly UF Savage, sets the fastest time for 1:31.4. So I can see that a lot of drivers are setting some blistering times, and I wouldn't be surprised if these are probably some of the fastest times we see. I think the blood is pumping, it's coursing. A lot of these drivers got a lot to prove. Certainly the Mercedes drivers had an appalling start to last week and were actually out of the race before the end of the first lap. So they are certainly going to be looking to put down their mark and gain some valuable points this week. Guido Airshine for Renault there, not on the ball as yet, set a 1:47.2. He can certainly do better than that. He's done 1:34s during qualification, so we should hopefully see him better that very, very soon indeed. Marcel France has just set a 1:34.0 in the Red Bull, and he's just coming into the pits now. Marcel Droning, Guido Airshine's teammate in Renault, set a 1:33.7. Martin Parder Cooper, well, this Red Bull driver, teammate to Ruben Bowman, has set a 1:33.3. Very, very close to his teammate there with a 1:33.1. Then we have Marco Pullen, and Marco setting a great time there in the Sauber. He's teammate to Nicky Visse, set a 1:33.0. Xavier, we've already gone through. Jerome Portmer had a great race last week as well. He set a 1:32.5. So Jerome in the Toro Rosso, flying the flag for Toro Rosso there. Let's get on board with Nicky Visse now, driver for Sauber. Nicky's had a great start to the season. Finished 4th in Australia, 4th in Bahrain, picked up some great points, and that's put him 2nd in the championship as it stands at this moment in time. So Nicky just coming round now, 2nd lap, so we should be seeing him set a time. And indeed, he sets a 1:35.0. Not, I think, what he's looking for. I should expect him to get lower on that. you are with F1 tonight, 2018, Season 1, Race 3, China. And we can see some blinding times already being set in Q1. Certainly faster times than I was expecting. I did expect to see, during qualification, the drivers get down into the low 130s, but I certainly didn't expect to see it in Q1. So my co-commentator should be joining me, hopefully within the next 5 minutes or so. So certainly to see the end of Q1. As yet, we don't have Ruud Windau just coming out now. We still have Jonathan Donkel in the pits. Jottr, as I said, is not competing, so John is going to be riding solo for Force India this evening. So in Q1, just to go through this, Q1 we have 19 drivers this evening, and from Q1 we will take the top 15 drivers into Q2, and in Q2 we will then reduce those 15 drivers to 10, which will be for the final Q3. This is all to decide their starting positions on the grid. Obviously the objective is to get as far up the front, if not on that first place. And certainly we're starting to see that there's going to be some good hard competition between the Ferraris and the Mercedes. As I said, Mercedes didn't have a great start to the season last week. They were out before the end of the first lap, so those drivers will certainly be looking to set their mark. But we also have Damie Hartman up there from Haas and Jerome Portman from Toro Rosso, so expect them to be putting in some equally good times. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this pans out. At this moment in time, in the drop zone, we have Guido Erschein, who's currently out on track. He's set a 147, but it now looks as if the McLaren driver has set the mark there. Peter Philip for McLaren, he's set the mark 16. He's 135.6. Nicky Visser for Sauber is a 135.0. So what we're looking at basically for those remaining drivers is they need to get one or below 135, so ideally they want to be in the 134s, 133s, or indeed the 132s, but they certainly need to get below that 135.0 from Nicky Visser. So Peter Philip, he's got a 135.6. Guido Erschein, as I said, was on a 147.2. He's just come round now, starting his third lap. So hopefully we should see a time set from him. Ruud Windau, our new driver, with Williams new to this season, had a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal race in Australia, and placed him in P3. So he picked up some great points there, 19 points. Didn't pan out for him last week in Bahrain, but he is still 5th in the Drivers' Championship. It is obviously early doors. Let's see what he can do. And look at that, as I'm saying there, Ruud Windau in the Williams sets a 132.1. So great show from him. So Ruud Windau, sorry, I do apologise, I was getting mixed up with Marcel Droning there. Marcel was the one that had a P3 in Australia, his teammate, and didn't do so well last week. Ruud Windau was the opposite way around, didn't have a great Australia race, but finished well last week in Bahrain. If my memory serves correctly, I believe it was 5th place. So he's doing great there, 1:32.1, fantastic job from the Williams driver. Ryan Dronig a little bit farther down the field at this moment in time. He's done a 1:33.6, but he's currently in the pits, so obviously making some final adjustments. He's not in the drop zone with that 1:33.6. I would suspect he's probably going to be safe, because we are going to be looking around about the 1:35 plus for the drop zone. And that time has changed, actually. I do apologise. I was looking 1:35. Now Marcel France is 1:34.0. So he's currently in P15. Marcel France for Toro Rosso. So he's the last driver in those 15 with a 1:34.0. So anyone that wants to get into Q2 is going to need to get below that 1:34. So Mark Stappers there for McLaren. He's currently in the drop zone, as is his teammate Peter Philip. Nicky Visser also in the drop zone with that 1:35.0, and John Donkel is out on track now. So yet to set a time. We've only got just under 3 minutes to go for this Q1 session. What can John do? Can he pull it out of the bag? Hopefully he'll be able to. A little bit under the weather, this driver this evening, suffering from that ill-fated autumn disease of the common cold. Although I must say, he sounds wonderful, very sexy indeed. Unfortunately, you won't be able to hear him because he's said that there is no way on this God's earth that he's going to actually be voicing anything this evening. So John Donkel there sets a 1:32.8, puts him in the middle of the field in P9 for this first Q1. So he's looking pretty safe there. Drop zone is 1:34. Sorry, I apologise, that's changed. It's now 1:33.2. That's Boy Williamson, that's set at 1:33.2. He's currently in 15th in this Q1. So again, those drivers need to better their times. We've seen Martin Paardekoper in the Red Bull, 1:33.3. Ryan Dronig in the Williams, 1:33.6. Marcel France with a 1:34.04. Peter Philip 1:34.07. So this is what they need to aim for. They've only got a minute now to do it, which is pretty much those guys that are actually out on track. Clearly, Boy isn't going to rest on his laurels there with that 1:33.2, because there's a number of drivers very close, so he still has to push. Peter Philip currently in 19th place, 1:34.0. Needs to better that time. Just coming round the second sector. Approaching now into sector 3. Down that long DRS straight. As he comes round the corner now. We'll have DRS once he clears that corner and gets onto the straight. This is the fastest part of the track between turns 13 and 14. Top speeds set here, certainly when the cars are all dialed up. But Peter Philip now coming round turn 14 into the penultimate turn. Coming into the final turn onto the start-finish straight. Can he do it? Can he beat that 1:33? Oh, he does a 1:33, but it's a 1:33.8, missing up one place to P18, and that's pretty much it. He'll be in P18. Ryan Dronig still out. Miguel Paardekoper still out. Ruben Bowman's looking safe at this moment in time. So Martin Paardekoper needs to better that time. Comes round, last approaching corner now. He's going into the pits. he's called it a day. That's it. So Martin Parker-Cooper will be 16th on the grid. Only Ryan Dronig now left to see if he can better that time. He needs to get under 1:33.1 as he comes round the final corner. Can he do it? No, he's into the pits as well. That's pretty much it. Race over. So in the drop zone, we have Ruben Bowman, our race winner from last year, set that 1:33.1 for Red Bull. Martin Parker-Cooper, his teammate, 1:33.3, will be alongside him in 16. 17 will be Ryan Dronig, new driver from Williams. Alongside him will be Peter Phillip from McLaren. And in the final row, in P19, will be Marcel France for Toro Rosso. But let's have a look up here at those leaders. So Daniel Van Tol for Mercedes sets the fastest time with a 1:31.4. Bas Debrin for Ferrari, 1:31.8. Ruud Window for Williams, the new driver, sets a 1:32.1. Sebastian Bogard for Ferrari sets a 1:32.1 as well, but it's a 1:32.178. So only 3 100ths off Ruud Window's time there. And Damie Hartman, great result from him there. He sets the P4 time for Haas, and we'll see the times coming up very shortly. I'm just going to check to see if my colleague can actually come and see if I can get him in. So there you have Daniel Van Tol, Mercedes, 1:31.4. Bas Breen, Ferrari, 1:31.8. Ruud Window, Williams, 1:32.1. Sebastian Bogard, 1:32.178. Damie Hartman for Haas, 1:32.2. Then we have Jerome Portmer, Xavier Zima, Jonathan Donkel, Marcel Dronig, Boy Williamson, Nicky Visser, Marco Pullen, Guido Erschein, Mark Stappers, and the other drivers, as we said, follows. Okay, not too sure what's happened there. It seems to have booted everybody out of Q2. Let's see if we can get back in again. For some unknown reason, it booted me out. Going into Q2. Should hopefully get that resolved very, very quickly indeed as I come in again. So, good evening. You are with F1 Tonight 2018 Season 1, and we're in Q2 for this third race of the season, and we are in Shanghai, China. Very, very challenging track. And, what I'm quickly going to do is do a little circuit here with Sebastian Bogart. So we've missed the first few turns, but we're coming up to turn 6. Hard right hairpin. This is the start. The second sector. Round 7, 8. Round turn 9 into turn 10. We have a quick sprint. Turn 11, hard turn uphill, and then turn right into 12. Does affect the handling of the car there as you're changing camber, and then that long turn 13 onto the straight. DRS point leading you down to turn 14, so this is the high speed part of the track. Turn 14, hard hairpin. Into first gear for Sebastian there. Can be taken in second. Into the final turn now. It's the final DRS point to take him over the start finish line. We'll just follow him through the first sector, which we missed out on the previous lap. And this is such a hard turn, turn 2. So it just winds round, it's almost like a snail shell, and then you've got the reverse camber again into turn 3 and 4. So really tricky, and this is where you can lose a lot of time, or indeed make up a lot of time, and then as he goes into turn 6 there, as we saw earlier. So let's go with Xavier Zima. He's on his out lap. Just coming round the second sector now of the track towards turn 11. Round 12 into 13. Let's see what he can do. Apologise for the engine sound. Looks like he's having some issues there. Definitely having some issues. I think he may have run out of fuel, I'm not too sure. The engine is revving quite high, so I'm not too sure what's actually happened there. Very unusual. So no time set as yet. Let's ride with Ruben Bowman, our winner from last year. He set that 1:33, got him through to Q2, not ideal. He was down the low end. Sebastian Bogart sets a 1:32.9. Ruben Bowman sets a 1:31.7. So he is back. Jonathan Donkoh in the Force India 1:33.1 as he just goes off there going round turn 2. Mr. Breen sits at 1:32.6. Daniel Ventol again in the Mercedes. Look at that, 1:31.1. These Mercedes drivers definitely out to prove a point this evening. As we move a little bit further through, Guido Shine 1:33.6 for Renault. Mark Stappers for McLaren 1:34.2. Nicky Visser for Sauber 1:34.2. Marcel Dronig, Renault 1:35.0. Xavier Zima and Ruud Windahl in the pits. So Xavier clearly got some issue with his car there. I'm not too sure what that is. Ruud Windahl, new Williams driver, is just coming round on his outlap now. Amy Hartman looking to set a time, as is Marco Pullen, the Sauber teammate to Nicky Visser, and Boy Williamson as well in the Haas. 1:31.1 set by Daniel Ventol for Mercedes. Ruben Bowman for Red Bull sets at 1:31.7, and Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso 1:32.3. The Ferraris of Basta Breen and Sebastian Bogard are currently 4th and 5th in this queue. But what I haven't looked at, and is critical as well, is those tyres. And as I suspected, the Ferraris are indeed on softs, as is Jonathan Donkoh for Force India, Nicky Visser for Sauber, Ruud Windahl and Davey Hartman and Boy Williamson. Ultra Softs have set the fastest time so far. Boy Williamson sets a 1:33.8, puts him up into provisional P10 for this Q2. Nicky Visser down to P11 with that 1:34.2. Marcel Dronig with Renault's better that time. He's got a 1:34.5, second 5/10 out of his previous. Still to set a time, Xavier Zima. He didn't have great joy on the track earlier. Let's see what he can do now as he comes out for his out lap. Ruud Windahl is already out. Just coming round to turn 4. So we've seen some great times, and as I suspected, we saw some blinding times in Q1. Not yet exceeded here in Q2. Let's stay with the action. See, we've got at this moment in time in the drop zone. Remember, we're going from the 15 to 10 drivers, so Nicky Visser for Sauber is in the drop zone with that 1:34.2. Williamson is currently 10th with a 1:33.8. So what does that mean? Well, it means anyone that wants to get into the final Q3 going to need to better that time. 1:33.8. Marco pulling for Sauber now. Hasn't set a time as yet. Critical that he does as soon as he's able. We've still got 7 minutes to go, roughly halfway through this Q2. You are with F1 tonight, 2018. Season 1, Race 3, China. And we're riding on board with Marco Pullen in the Sauber as he comes around turn 13. To that long straight with the DRS. Rapidly approaching. Hairpin of turn 14. Nicely taken there by Marco. I think we should see a good time from Marco. What can he do as he comes across the line? Can he better that 1:33? Oh, and he doesn't. He must have gone offline somewhere, so that lap has not counted. So not too sure what's happening. We've got Xavier Zima and Ruud Window seems to have dropped out of the game. I would suspect that it's connection issues, unfortunately. Hopefully, they should be able to come back before the end of the qualification, because it'd be a great shame. Ruud Window set a blinding time in Q1. Put him in third position in Q1. Equally, Xavier Zima as well for Mercedes. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they should be able to get back in as soon as possible, and hopefully before the end of the queue so they can set a time, because they still have yet to set times. We saw that Xavier was having issues. Oh, dearie me. And Marco Pullen there takes out his front left. As he was coming round, I'm pretty sure it was turn 8, approaching turn 9. So he's out of Q2, not set a time. So he will undoubtedly be starting in P15. So Boy Williamson, he's currently in 10th place, 1:33.8. Looking fairly safe at the moment. Next closest is P11 with a 1:34.2 with Nicky Visser from Sauber. I think Nicky... Yes, I thought so. Nicky just coming out of the pits there. Got 4 minutes. Takes 7 tenths, sorry, not 7 tenths, 3 tenths out of his time, at the very least. So, Xavier Zima is, looks like he's rebooted and looks like he'll be coming back into the game, hopefully so. So just quickly seeing if I can get my co-commentator in, if he's about as yet. We're riding on board with Nicky Visser. Needs to better that time. So he's coming round the hairpin of 14 now. This is his out lap. So the next lap will be the one that counts. He's got 3 minutes. So he's got just about enough time to do 2 laps, possibly 3. I doubt it unless he gets under 130 on one of those laps or both of those laps. So 2 laps he's got left in him, and he needs to pull it out of the bag, as does Marcel Droning in the Renault. As he goes across the line, he does better that time. Marcel Droning goes in with a 1:33.6, and that's now pushed Boy Williamson in the Haas into the drop zone in P11. So the drop zone now still on that 1:33.8, because we've got Davey Hartman on a 1:33.8, and Davey's just gone second now with a 1:31.7 in the Haas. Fantastic result, fantastic show from him. So that now puts Guido Airshine in the Renault in the drop zone on a 1:33.6. So anyone that wants to get out of that drop zone needs to get better than 1:33.6. Marcel Droning, his teammates, currently on 1:33.60. So very, very close indeed. We still have a number of drivers out there that can better those. Nicky Visser and Guido Airshine, they need to better those times. Still not got Xavier Zima, Ruud Window in as yet. Great shame, because even if they join now, they won't be able to get out on track in time to actually set a time. So it looks like they will be starting at the back of the grid. P13 for Xavier Zima for Mercedes, and 14 Williams Ruud Window. So Guido Airshine now. Ooh, close. Not sure if that will discount his lap there. Don't think it was all 4 tyres going off. Gotta be careful. Strict conditions are applied within the track limits here. See what he can do as he comes down that long straight, rapidly approaching turn 14. Can he better that time? Can he get sub 1:33.6? That's what he needs to do. And ideally, if he can get into 1:32s, he doesn't do it, but he's got one more chance, one final chance to go and see if he can better that time. His teammate Marcel Droning is not going to be able to make it in time. He's not going to get a second lap, so he needs to make this one count. He's coming round turn 13 now. Winds it up. Riding on board with him now. Comes down to turn 14, sorry. Doesn't look like he's pushing it to me. Yeah, he's run out of fuel. Pushed it too hard, ran out of fuel. So Marcel Droning for Renault will be P11. Now this is the one. Can Guido Airshine for Renault pull it out of the bag? Can he get into Q3, or will both Renaults be out in Q2? He needs to push, and he needs to push hard. Just needs to knock out at least 5/10 out of his previous best. Can he do it? Can he make it? No, he doesn't. Does get a slightly faster time, 1/10, but Guido Airshine will be P11. His teammate Marcel Droning will be P12. Xavier Zima for Mercedes will be P13. Ruud Window for Williams will be P14. And Marco Pullen for Sauber will be P15. Going through to Q3, Daniel Van Zyl for Mercedes, Xavier Zima's teammate. Fastest time in Q2, 1:31.1. Damie Hartman, 1:31.7. Ruben Bowman, 1:31.76. Boy Williamson, 1:31.9. Jerome Palmer, 1:32.3. Basta Breen, 132.6. Nicky Visser for Sauber, 132.8. Sebastian Bogard, 132.9. Jonathan Donkel with P9. So the 10 drivers going through. We'll quickly revise. Interestingly enough, Ferrari, don't know if there was sandbagging there. They went out on the softs to begin with, went out on the ultra softs, but didn't seem to better those times. So, well, they're through to the final Q3, and that's where it counts. So there we have Jonathan Dunkel, Force India, 9, 10. Mark Stappers for McLaren. Dropson, as I said, Guido Ershine, Renault, 11. Marcel Dronig, 12. Xavier Zima for Mercedes, 13. Ruud Window for Williams, 14. And Marco Pullen will be 15. So the 10 drivers remaining will be going in for the gladiatorial fight of Q3 to decide the final positions on the grid. Number of drivers certainly competing, and again, I seem to have got kicked out there, so I may have to join again. Indeed, as we go into Q3 now. No sound. Okay. Why am I not saying anything? Okay, not too sure. Oh, here we are. We're back now. Thought I had no sound going. I'm not too sure what's been happening. Whether we've been getting any sound coming up or not. So we're in Q3 now. What can these drivers do? Coming round. So we saw some excellent times set there in the previous qualification. Ferrari not doing so great. We're down in the midfield, so they're going to be looking to improve on that, certainly for this Q. Let's run with Nicky Visser. Looks like he was the first out. He's on his out lap now, just coming round turn 13. So no time set as yet. And Bowman certainly out to prove he's back with a vengeance, albeit with a different team. He was with Haas, season 3 winner last year, or last season for 2017, season 3. Now with Red Bull. Certainly set a competitive time in Q2 with a 1:31. What can he do here? Coming round turn 12 now into 13. Preparation of getting onto that nice long straight. Full power. Hits the DRS point. Gear, full revs before he does that hard brake into 14, winds it round the hairpin, Daniel Van Tol sets a 1:31.3 for Mercedes. Sebastian Bogard 1:31.6. What? Oh, what can he do? Oh, Ruben Bowman sets a 1:31.5. Sebastian Bogard set 1:31.6, but that's De Bruyne sets a 1:31.4. Jonathan Donkel 1:31.8. So they're all in the 1:31s. Boy Williamson for Haas 1:32.3. Nicky Visser for Sauber 1:32.6. So the top 5 drivers all in the 1:31s. The 5/10 separating 5th from 1st place. Jerome Portman 1:32.4 for Toro Rosso. Only Mark Stappers for McLaren. And Damie Hartman for Haas to set a time as yet. So as it stands at this moment in time, Daniel Van Tol for Mercedes is in the provisional P1. Provisional P2, Bas de Bruyne for Ferrari. The second row provisionally behind them, Ruben Bowman for Red Bull alongside him, Sebastian Bogard for Ferrari. Third row, Jonathan Donkel, Force India. Boy Williamson for Haas. Sebastian Bogard going into the pits there. Let's ride with Mark Stappers for McLaren. Needs to pull it out of the bag now. Damie Hartman is in the pits for Haas. Doing some final preps. They've only got just under 6.5 minutes to go. As Mark Stappers winds it up round turn 13. Hits that DRS point. Coming up to the final turn now. Needs to get into those 1:31s. Doesn't quite make it. 1:32.8. Damie Hartman still in the pits, not come out as yet. Everyone in the pits bar Ruben Bowman. Ruben staying out on the final straight now. What can he do? Needs to knock at least 2/10 out of his best time of 1:31.5 to take that pole from Daniel Van Tol at this stage of the game. Oh! Too much power coming round turn 14, swings the back end into the pits. Yeah, not happy with that. So Daniel Van Tol for Mercedes is back out on track now. All the drivers obviously are on the Ultra Softs, as would be expected in this final qualification. So Daniel winding up round turn 7, 8 to 9. Getting some heat in those tyres, clearly that's his outlap. Needs to get that heat, and as I said earlier, tyre heat now is not just the core temperature of the tyre, but also the carcass temperature as well. So there are 2 temperatures you need to bear in mind to get those tyres to peak performance. So an extra element being added in to complicate the lives of the drivers, but also to test their mettle. So Daniel comes down turn 14. Into 15, the penultimate turn now. And he better that 1:31.3. No, stays with that 1:31.3, but he's still on pole. That's De Bruyne. It's now 1:31.4. Second place. Needs to knock not much. He's got 391, he's on 444. About 500ths would do it. Doesn't make it. Still on the 131.4. Ruben Bowman still out on track. Seb Bogart now out as well. Jonathan Donkel still in the pits, as is Nicky Visser and Mark Stappers. They've only got 3 minutes to go. Damie Hartman still to set a time in the Haas. He's out on track now, coming around turn 7, 8, and looks like we've got some, yes indeed, we've got some damp conditions here. And that certainly won't help them, and it's not going to help them to set any faster times. I think that could be it. It's not wet weather tyres, still obviously okay for the dries, but it will make the track that little bit more slippery and will slow the cars down. So I think we've seen and waved goodbye to the 131s, and this is pretty much going to be how it's going to sit. Could be why Nicky Visser and Mark Schnappers are still sitting in the pits trying to decide what they're going to do. They haven't got long if they're going to put in a time. They need to get out now. Daniel Von Tol betters the time there. Look at that. Was on a 131.3. Is now 131.1. Daniel Van Tol there, stamping his mark. Puts in the fastest lap in this qualification so far. So as it stands, we've got 1.5 minutes to go. And you won't be able to do another lap. Norval Bass. Oh, Seb Bogart. Well, they've got all one lap probably remaining in them. Who can better that time? Can anyone better that 131.1? I was saying that nobody was going to better that faster time by Daniel, but he bettered it himself in these damp conditions. So fair play to him, certainly. So he's into the pits. I think he's working on the basis that he's pretty safe there. Seb Bogart also into the pits, so he'll certainly be on P3. There's somebody betters that 131.5. Jonathan Donkel also in the pits. So only Bass now out to see if he can better that time, or is he going to come in? Yeah, he's coming into the pits as well. So I think that pretty much seals the deal. So on pole position, for the first time this season, we have the Mercedes of Daniel Van Tol. Certainly out to prove a point. Alongside him will be Bas de Breen in the Ferrari. Second row, P3, Sebastian Bogart, Seb Bogart for Ferrari. Alongside him, Ruben Bowman, season 3 of 2017 champion in the Red Bull. Row 3 will be Jonathan Donkel in the Force India P5. Alongside him, Boy Williamson from Haas. In the 4th row, Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso. Alongside him, Damie Hartman from Haas. In the 5th row, Nicky Visser for Sauber. And alongside him will be Mark Stappers for McLaren. Well, we've seen a dry run so far, other than the end of this Q3. Are we going to see a wet start to this race, or are we going to see dry conditions? We will see. Certainly if it is wet, it's going to mix it up. We've certainly got a little bit of a mix certainly there in that top 5. The Toro Rosso and Force India putting in a great show there in that Q3 to get themselves into 4th and 5th on the grid respectively. This is going to be a very interesting race, because you can count as sure as eggs is eggs that Daniel's teammate in the Mercedes, Xavier Zima, down in P15. He'll be looking to get his way through the field as soon as he can. We know he can set some fast times. Bit unfortunate there with some technical difficulties in Q2, which meant that he couldn't set a time, but certainly from what we saw in Q1, more than capable. We've also got the Renaults, Guido Airshine and Marcel Droning, 11th and 12th place. They certainly won't be happy with that, so expect some good hard racing. And this is such a difficult track because when they get on that start finish straight, they got that turn 1, which is fairly straightforward, but that turn 2, the snail shell of turn 2, and then the reverse camber of the snail shell of turn 3s and 4s really sorts the boys out from the men. So here we are now, getting ready for the procession lap to start off, to kick off this F1 tonight, 2018, Season 1, Race 3, Shanghai, China. And it looks like we've got dry conditions. We had damp conditions towards the end of Q3, which certainly affected things, but we saw Daniel Van Tol in the Mercedes better his time and get down to a 1:31.1. Got the Ferrari alongside him and behind him as well. So we'll run through our runners and riders on the processional lap. So Daniel Van Tol in the Mercedes will be P1 alongside him, Bas de Breen in the Ferrari. Behind him, Sam Bogart will be P3. Ruben Bowman, Season 3 of 2017 winner in the Red Bull, will be in P4. Jonathan Donkor for Force India, P5. Boy Williamson for Haas, P6. Jerome Portmer, Toro Rosso, P7. Damie Hartman for Haas, P8. Nicky Visser for Sauber is P9. Mark Stappers for McLaren, P10. Guido Airshine, I'm not too sure what happened there, disqualified, but I'm sure he'll be on the starting grid. So for Renault, he'll be P11. Marcel Droning, P12 for Renault. Xavier Zima out of place there. Thought he's 15, but he's actually gone into P13 for Mercedes, so he'll be looking to come through. Ruud Window for Williams, P14. He also suffered from that technical glitch in Q2, so he'll be looking to come through the field. Marco Pullen for Sauber, crashed out in Q2. He's in P15. Martin Pardagupa, Red Bull Ruben's teammate, is in P16. Ryan Dronig for Williams, down in P17. Watch him. I would expect him to be coming through. Peter Phillips for McLaren, he's down in P18. Marcel France, Toro Rosso, is P19 and brings the rear of the field. So we're riding with Daniel Van Tol, everyone getting their tires nice start out. And see if we can get my commentators out. As they start to get ready now and line up on the grid for the start of this F1 tonight, 2018 Season 3 Season 1 Race 3, Shanghai, China. So drivers all lining up now. Last driver coming onto the grid Flag will be waved in preparation. Lights are lighting up. And they're off for the start of 2018 F1 tonight. China, Shanghai Grand Prix. And Daniel Van Tol pulls out an immediate lead. The two Mercedes very close in behind him, but they're holding up the rest of the pack as they come round now. The Ferraris, and looks like Jonathan Donkel pushing his way through as well. We see Ruben Bowman coming through, but it looks like Jonathan's going to actually take the place from Ruben. But we can see the Haas driver there, Boy Williamson, trying to push through as well. Jerome Portman's dropped down to 7th place. He was in 6th. Boy Williamson's moved up ahead of him. Jonathan Donkel moves up to 5th place. Ruben Bowman stays in 4th. Bas de Breen is in 3rd. Sebastian Bogart 2nd, but Daniel Van Tol is already pulled out. A 1 second lead, 1.2 seconds now ahead of those Ferraris. No incidents, fortunately, on that first few turns. So everyone clean as they're coming through. Davey Hartman 8, Nicky Visser is in 9, Mark Stappers 10, Marcel Dronig 11, Ruud Window 12, Guido Erschein 13, Marco Pullen 14, Martin Parder-Cooper 15, Peter Phillip for McLaren 16, Xavier Zima, Mercedes, he needs to get through that field, he's down in 17, and Marcel France is in 18. Ryan Dronig has already dropped out, not too sure what happened with him there, whether it was a technical difficulty. But interestingly enough, having a quick look on here, both the Ferraris have started on a set of softs, so they're going to be looking to go deeper into this race. So I'd expect him to go into the mid-20s, and Daniel Van Tol opening fastest time, 1:39.2. Remember, he is with a full fuel load here, so clearly he's got his ERS and his fuel mix turned up to the max. He's looking to get out a lead ahead of these Ferraris, build up the lead, using those ultra softs to his advantage. Ruben Bowman down in 4th place. He's also on the ultra soft, so he's going to be looking to get past these Ferraris as soon as he possibly can. He's only 5/10 off the back of Bas Breen. But Jonathan Donkel's close in behind him, as is Boy Williamson and Jerome Portman and Nicky Visser. So the top 8, top 9, oh God, top 12, all under a second of each other, apart from the race leader in 2nd place. So from 3rd down to 11th, they're all under a second between them. So very, very close racing indeed, as they're coming round turn 10 now, winding up round 12 and 13. Onto that long straight. They don't have DRS as yet. They will have on the following lap, and that's when it's going to count, so they need to stay within those times. And Jonathan Donkel looks like he's made the move on Ruben Bowman. Yes, he has, but can Ruben come back in turn 14? Oh, but look at this, Boy Williamson just hanging there. Ruben goes wide, but he does. He gets ahead of Jonathan Donkel. Fantastic race there. So he just gets ahead of Jonathan Donkel. Takes 4th place back. DRS has now been enabled. Now they won't get advantage of this until they come around that turn 13 and onto that long straight of 14. But you can see here that Jonathan Donkel's really applying the pressure to Ruben Bowman. Only 3/10 off his back, but equally Boy Williamson's only 3/10 off the back of Jonathan as well. So very, very close here for that 4th place between 5th place currently Jonathan Donkel. Oh, into turn 4, can he make the move on him now? Oh, sorry, turn 6, can he make it stick? No, he can't. Jonathan looking to make a move into the hairpin of turn 6, doesn't quite make it stick there, but Damie Hartman moving up on him now. Damie Hartman really putting on the pressure side by side with this Force India. Ruben Bowman goes offline there. Coming around turn 10 now, they're side by side. Clearly, the advantage does go to the Red Bull. He's on the inside as he's coming around turn 12 into 13. He's on the dirty side of the track, yes. Can Jonathan pull it out of the bag in the Force? Yes, he does. Turn 13, gets ahead of Ruben Bowman, takes 4th place. They're all got DRS. So what can they do to turn 14? Boy Williamson looking to get a move away from that Red Bull behind the Oh, it looks like he's hit the back of the Force India. I think he may have damage. Yes, and spins. Ruben Bowman spins. Ruben Bowman span out there. It's dropped down into 17 on turn 14. Very, very unfortunate for him. Just overstepped it. We saw him do the same during qualification. What does that mean? Well, John is now in 4th place, but Boy Williamson took that 5th place from him on that 14 corner. Nicky Visser in Sauber's moved up to 6th place. Mark Stappers now for McLaren is in 7th. Ruud Window close on his tail. For Williams is in 8th. Marcel Dronig for Renault is in 9th. Guido Ershine is 10th. And again, all these drivers from 5th down to 15th. All under a second of one another. This is absolutely phenomenal because it could be anyone's. The DRS is going to come so much into play here. Ruud Window moves up into 7th place. Nicky Visser is in 5th. Boy Williamson 4th. Jonathan Donkel is now 3rd. Looks like Daniel Van Tol is dropped out. Not too sure when he had an incident there, but Daniel Van Tol, the Mercedes driver, is out. Xavier Zima, his teammates, down in 17th. Don't know what happened to Daniel. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to go back to any vehicles that have actually gone off track unless we're actually watching them. But what does that mean? That means that Seb Bogart for Ferrari has now taken 1st place. Bas de Breen, his teammate, is in 2nd. Jonathan Donkel for Force India moved up to 3rd, but he's done the challenge now from Boy Williamson as they're coming round turn 14, and Boy Williamson makes the move in 14 on Jonathan Donkel in the Force India, makes it stick and takes 4th place from him. Nicky Visser, sorry, has taken 3rd place. So Nicky Visser has made the move on Jonathan Donkel. John Donkel is in the pits, as is Mark Stappers, Davey Hartman and Jerome Portmer. So Nicky Visser takes that 3rd place from the Force India. Boy Williamson now in the Haas has moved up into 4th place, and Ruud Window for Williams is up into 5th. Guido Ershine moved up now into 6th place. His teammate Marcel Dronig just behind him is in 7th. Marco Pullen for Sauber is in 8th. Peter Phillip has now moved up to 9. Marcel France is 10. And Jonathan Donkel, as I said, Mark Stappers, Damie Hartman, Jerome Portmer, all in the pits and coming out. Thankfully, no pit glitch has occurred there. Xavier Zima is still down there in 15th. Out of the race, we have Daniel Van Tol. Oh, what a shame. Don't know what happened there. He's in 16th place. Martin Pardo, well, he's in 16th place. He's out, but will get 16th place. Martin Pardo Cooper as well has dropped out. He's Ruben Bowman's teammate on Red Bull. Ryan Dronig in the Williams dropped out early in the 1st lap. Ruben Bowman, he's also out. He's been disqualified. Unfortunately, I think that's to do with that incident in turn 14, where he must have gone against the traffic when he was trying to turn the car around. So Ruben Bowman, unfortunately, for Red Bull is out as well. What a great, great shame for his return to the F1 Tonight season of 2018. So we're left with 15 drivers. Ferrari have now taken the lead. They're on a set of softs. They've done 5 laps now. Judging from what we've seen on previous tracks, we would expect the ultra softs to go probably into the mid-teens, maybe high teens on this track. The softs we should see certainly go into the mid-20s. I think they're good on this track for around about 31 laps. So they can be stretched out if you take care of them. So there is every possibility here of looking at a one-stop for Ferrari. But if that is the case, they will need to go quite deep into this. So they need to establish a lead, an early lead. And pit window here, we're looking at around about 25 seconds. It's a bit of an awkward entry. Excellent exit, but quite a long entry into the pits. So around about 25 seconds be the pit window that they'd be looking to aim for. this moment in time. Nicky's moved up. Nicky's moved up. Oh, he's being under pressure there from Boy Williamson, so a fight between Boy Williamson moves up to third place. Nicky now coming into the pits. Boy Williamson stays out, so he's in third place. Guido Airshine is in sixth place. Sorry, fourth place, and Marcel Droning has now moved up into fifth place. So Nicky Visser goes into the pits. He's only done 6 laps on those ultra softs. Is it that those ultra softs are not lasting? Has he got some other difficulty? Could he have had some sort of collision? Not too sure. He's coming out now. He's on a set of softs. So it could well be the tyres, and as I said, tyre management in this 2018 season is so much more difficult, because the drivers not only need to look after the actual tyre temperature, the whole temperatures they had in 2017, but they also have to watch the carcass temperature as well. So they've got 2 temperature readings for each tyre. 8 temperature readings they need to take into account and get into the optimum and keep them there to ensure that those tyres perform at their absolute best. Very, very difficult indeed. And then going into that as well, you've got the ERS, which they need to manage as well now. So a lot of things to take on board for this 2018 season. But Boy Williamson for Haas, he's currently in third place. He hasn't actually pitted as yet. Let's quickly check the pit situation. So the top 8 drivers, have not pitted as yet. So those top 8 drivers, and there we say it, Boy Williamson coming in now. So Boy Williamson into the pits. So Marcel France has not pitted. Peter Philip has not pitted. Marco Pullen, I'm not too sure. I thought he hadn't pitted. He hadn't. And interesting enough, I didn't notice that earlier, but Marco is actually on a set of mediums. So could this be very, very interesting indeed, because he will go a lot deeper into that race. So he's clearly looking at a 1-stop without any doubt whatsoever. Marcel Droning, Guido Airshine still out on the same, as is Bastard Breen and Seb Bogart. But they are on a set of softs. It's those ultra softs we need to watch now. And we'll keep an eye on the Renault drivers, because that should give us an idea of the potential for these tyres. As I always said, I would expect them to go into the mid-high teens, and if looked after, they should certainly go into the mid-20s. But we'll keep an eye on that with the Renault drivers, and hopefully they'll give us some sort of guide as to where it is. Marco Pullen for Sauber is currently in 5th place. He's the only driver on the mediums at this moment in time. Only time will tell if that was a good decision, but looking at it at this stage of the game, I think he's called it pretty well, and it certainly is looking good. Marco not had a great season in 2017, certainly in season 3. Very, very disappointed with his performance, and he's certainly looking to get it going and beef it up. So hopefully he'll be able to get his mojo back for this China Grand Prix and show what he's capable of. And at this moment in time, he's sitting in 5th place on a set of mediums, so he's looking good. It's only, let me see now, it's only 19 seconds, 20 seconds off the race leader, which is a pit window. So it's looking good for him at this moment in time. Also looking good for the Renault drivers, albeit they are on the ultra soft, so they will need to be pitting certainly before the Ferraris, but it's a question of how deep they can go. And as I said, we'll have to keep an eye on that, because that will give us a good measure of these ultra softs. Bear in mind, obviously, they are with the full fuel loads, which does have also an effect on the tyres, in that the heavier weight puts more stress on those tyres, so they won't last as long. The lighter the weight, the longer they will last. I certainly would expect them to go into the mid to high teens, but we'll see what happens with regards to that. Ferraris, I would certainly expect to go into the mid to high 20s, if not higher. Know that the softs, according to the manufacturers, are good for 31 laps. Oh, and Guido Ehrschein coming into the pits. His teammate Marcel Dronig stays out, so Guido Ehrschein in on lap 8. So clearly those ultra softs give the performance and the speed, but they are deteriorating. So let me just quick get my commentator. How do you take off shoes? Get him out. Hopefully he should be joining us very, very soon indeed. So Marcel Droning has moved up into 3rd place. Jottr, good evening, welcome.
Good evening. Apologies for the delay with joining. I had technical difficulties. Might be able to hit the buzz with the microphone, but no, I'm here, back up and running.
Not too bad, my friend. If you could just tone it up a little bit, or shout down so we can hear that bit better. I don't know if you've been able to follow the race so far, but it's certainly been an interesting one.
Yeah, I managed to catch a little bit on the race, but I've not managed to catch a lot of it. I think I managed to catch a bit of qualifying. Certainly interesting. Nice to see the 2 Ferraris in 1-2.
Yeah, well, the Ferraris were, well, in 2nd and 3rd place. Daniel Vantol did have the pole position. Unfortunately, Daniel went out a few laps ago. Not too sure what happened, whether it was an incident or whether it was technical difficulties. We had some technical connection difficulties with some of the drivers. Ruben Bowman was putting in a fantastic time. Unfortunately, lost it in turn 14, spun round, and I think when he was looking to get back on the track, went against the flow of the track and unfortunately disqualified himself.
Oh, what a shame. No, I was looking forward to watching him today, so bit of a shame.
Great shame indeed, because it'd be great to see him in this race, and he was certainly, you know, performing well for his opening race, but hopefully we'll see him next week and then he can show us how he's actually performing. So just quickly run through, we've got Sebastian Bogart in 1st place, his teammate Basta Breed for Ferraris in 2nd. They're on 10 laps, they're on softs, which they started the race with. Marcel Droning for Renault started down in 11th place. He's now moved up to 3rd place. He's still on the same set of ultra softs that he started with. And Marco Pullen, now this is an interesting, we didn't see a lot of Marco in the 2017 season 3. He is a great driver. Very disappointed with his season 3 performance, and he's looking to improve on it. And in the Sauber, but he's opened up with a set of mediums, and at this stage of the game, he's up in 4th place. It's looking pretty good for him, and it looks like it was a good choice.
Yeah, really good call start on a set of mediums as well. Obviously, 11 positions gained so far, currently in P4. Opportunity as well to do a 1-stop around this track, because it's very much a sort of mid-downforce track, so I was looking forward to see, obviously, old game attack Stoner round this track against the likes of Bo. Bo doing a cracking job getting those 2 positions now currently in P1. Big shout out as well to the Toro Rosso as well, who's coming into the pits now on a set of ultra softs now pitting. 30 positions gained as he comes into the pits, so a cracking job from Toro Rosso.
Indeed, Marcel putting in a great race there. We've seen, unfortunately, a number of drivers drop out. Daniel Vantol, Martin Parder-Cooper, so both Red Bulls out. Martin Parder-Cooper, Ruben Bowman. Ryan Dronig for Williams went out in lap 1, and Daniel Vantol as well, as I said, for Mercedes has gone out. He was doing so well, was on pole position. His teammate Xavier Zima still down in 15th, but sticking with it at this moment in time. And Miguel Torres not racing this evening for Force India. Also a big shout out to John Donkel, because he's doing very well as well in the Force India. Did get up to 4th place earlier on, had to pit, but back up to 7th as well. But if you look at those times, I mean, they're so close between 9 and 8, 7, so there's not really an awful lot in it from 7 to 10, from 7 to 9 really.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. I'm just looking at the battle for P7, funnily enough. I mentioned, obviously, Jonathan Donkel currently in the Force India, battling with the Haas driver just behind as well, looking pretty close. Their current tyre strategy as well start speaking English, should suggest that the Haas driver should be able to get around Jonathan Donkel pretty easily. Those tyres are a little bit younger. Keep a firm eye as well on what was the old Buddha driver, in fact, in the Renault, who is on ultra-soft tyres. And maybe looking for a bit of a dive bomb going into the heart. Looking a bit close.
He's into 14, he's looking to make the move on that Haas.
Yeah, it's looking really interesting.
He has already pitted, so this is his second set. He pitted on lap 8. And this is another thing I was looking at, because I mean, the Ultrasoft should obviously go into the teens, but with the full weight of the full fuel on the start, that clearly does affect those tyres, doesn't it? And we've seen all the drivers that started on the Ultrasofts more or less already come in. The only one that hasn't is, well, Marcel Dronigan. He's actually only just come in himself now.
I think one thing to keep an eye out on as well is obviously the softs will last a lot longer than people will think. Remember, there's obviously ultra softs are 2 steps softer than the soft tyres. There's a super soft set in the middle which aren't available around the Chinese track. So the softs will last a little bit longer than people think. So if people pit around now and go into a set of softs, they should be able to get themselves possibly into the sort of mid to upper 30s in the laps, and might be able to get another set of softs, maybe even a set of ultra softs to the end of the race. So interesting stuff for the people who are on a set of softs right now, because they will go onto a set of ultra softs towards the end of the race. So yeah, keep a firm eye as well, obviously, on the Sauber driver who you were mentioning earlier. I think his gamer tag specifically is it Marco Pullen? I think it's his gamer tag.
Yeah, Marco Pullen in the Sauber.
Yeah, set of mediums, obviously, as you said at the start of the race, 12 laps old. They will be possibly even a bit faster than the two Ferrari runners in front of him. And the pit lane is a lot longer here in China, so he has to pull a 25-second gap, so he might be able to snatch P2 and most possibly keep it if he's on a one-stop less strategy. So keep an eye out on Mark Pullen, because he's on a good strategy.
I'm just interrupting you there, because we've got a real fight going on here now between the Williams, Guido, Nicky Visser and Jonathan Donkel.
Donkel up on the inside, cracking.
Guido's taken the inside of them and actually overtaken both of them round turn 2, 3 as they're coming round 4 now, and you can see, oh, Nicky just pulling out ahead of Jonathan Donkel there in the Force India. Great show from Nicky. Now diving. Oh, look at this. Look at this. I don't know if there was any collision between them there, but clearly diving straight down into that corner there.
Nicky,
into turn 6.
Yeah. Oh, I think Nicky definitely missed his braking mark. I don't think he intended an overtake. I think he'll hold his hands up to that one.
So Nicky Visser certainly putting the pressure down. Just behind him, Damie Hartman.
I think he's got wing damage.
Looks like, I think he has. I think Nicky has got wing damage. Difficult to tell with the...
oh yeah, you can see through that right-hand turn. He's having to take it slow. Yeah, he's obviously the halo means we're not be able to see that wing, but you can see the understeer.
Can't see the front wing because of the halo, indeed.
Yeah.
But so Guido Airshine moves up into 6. Boy Williamson now for Haas is in 5. Ruud Window for Williams is up in 4th. Marco Pullen, well, that's certainly working for him on those mediums. He's up into 3rd place. Bas de Breen and Sebastian Bogard 1st and 2nd. Now they're on those softs. They're on lap 14. They've started, I'm expecting them, I would think, to go at least into the mid-20s, but I've got the sneaking suspicion that they're going to be looking to go into those mid-30s if they can and go on to the set of ultra softs.
The medium tyres will definitely go into possibly 30s. Oh, Jonathan Donkel getting a little bit on Guido Airshine then. Looks like a bit of a tap actually from the Force India. But yeah, to keep an eye out obviously on the medium runners that started, because obviously that's going to be a great opportunity to do a one-stop. And I think there's been a bit of a tap there from Nicky. I think it may have been with Marco.
Clearly suffering. He's dropped down into P11 now. Jerome Portman taking the place on him. Marcel Dronig's up in 9th. Damie Hartman is 8th. Jonathan Donkel 7th, and Guido Airshine is in 6th. But Damie Hartman is closing in on the back of John Donkel there.
Another driver I want to keep an eye out on, Woods, as well, is the none other than Mark Stapper's phenomenon. Obviously, a driver actually spoke to me after one of the races last season. Great driver, in my opinion, and I think he has a real opportunity here. He's on 10-lap old softs. If he can push them a little bit longer, he might just be able to sneak on a set of ultra softs and take them to the end. So Mark Stapper's could be an opportunity to sneak into the points. So good job from the McLaren driver so far.
Absolutely, and it really has been phenomenal. We were watching, I don't know if you say you caught a bit of the qualification, but so close in Q2.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
Dear, and Guido Airshine makes a major mistake into turn 14. Davey Hartman, sorry. Oh, as he made the mistake there, Davey Hartman seems to look made the move in, but Guido's still in 6th place. It was actually Marcel Dronig, his teammate, that made the error into turn 14. Davey Hartman taking the place from him in 7th, so moving up. Guido, Marcel Dronig going offline in 14 there, takes full advantage. John Donkel forcing
in the mediums
now
to the end.
In the pits. So he's looking to go mediums to the end of this race. I'm pretty sure he has actually pitted twice. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah,
yes, he has. So that was his second pit stop.
Yeah, he has
and
to
Xavier Zima as well.
40
so
laps
he's gone on to
it.
the set of mediums. See him through to the end of this race. Seb, Bogart, Baspreen still out on those softs ahead of the pack, and they're looking pretty good. I mean, Marco Pullen's in 3rd place, but interestingly enough, he's 24 seconds off the back of those Ferraris. Now, those Ferraris, very likely, I'm sure they're going to want to go into the mid-20s. I don't know if they're going to be able to, and if they pit soon, it could see Marco actually move up into 1st place, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. Obviously, it depends on the tyre strategies that they decide to go on. Keep an eye out on Marco Pullen. I've got no doubt he'll try a one-stop in this race. And if he does, it'll be a set of ultra softs, maybe around about lap 42-ish. And obviously, the softs will not go that long. And looking at the times at the moment, he will only sneak in front of the number 2 Ferrari driver currently in 2nd place, but only just by 10ths of a second. So if these softs are still the faster tyre at the moment, Pullen might just be able to scratch a podium. But we'll have to see, keep a firm eye out on.
Well, I was watching the Renault drivers earlier because they were on the ultra softs and certainly seem to be going deeper into the race. Now, at this moment in time, we're on lap 17. Marcel Droning's done 4 laps on those, so that means he came in at the end. I'm pretty sure it was either the end of lap 12, could have been 13 going by this, but end of lap 12 laps on the ultra softs at the start of this race. That would equate to me, if you look after your tyres at the end of the race, you should certainly be able to get into the mid-high teens on a set of ultra softs towards the end of the race because you have a lighter load. Yeah,
of course. I mean, it's all quite plausible. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it. If I was the 2 Ferraris, though, for sure, I'd consider trying to match Marco Pullen's sort of strategy. Take those softs to around about the mid-20s and then go on to a set of mediums for about 30 laps. And I think they might be able to beat Pullen to the top 2 spots and get a Ferrari 1-2. But it's looking very, very interesting for Marco Pullen. Really good strategy call, and it's paying out for him.
It is playing out for him, and I hope he can see it through. As I said, he's lost his mojo somewhat in season 3 of 2017, and it looks like he's getting it back. He has been itching to get driver of the day for quite a number of races, and if he continues to perform like this, sees it through to the end and has a nice clean drive, I think he's in with a very good chance indeed.
Good opportunity here coming up now for the Haas driver of Davey Hartman, looking possibly a bit of an overtake on Guido Airshine in the Renault, and he's trying to find space. You can see those.
So hard this turn, isn't it?
Yeah, for a bit of an overtake.
Reverse camber here as you go into turn 3. Round 4. I was saying earlier, that stretch of the track is really where it can make or break your lap. It's so critical, that first sector, isn't it?
Interesting stuff as well. I must say that the Haas driver is currently still trying to save ERS and still gaining time on Guido Airshine, who's currently in mode 5 at the moment in the ERS, so he's looking to burn off what is nearly 65% ERS, so he's got plenty to play with. But at the moment, he's looking really, really, really slow, to be honest with you. And those ultra softs, the softs looking like a good selection of tyres. So interesting to see how he does on this main straight.
Well, he did start off with a set of ultra softs. He's gone to a second set of ultra softs, as has his teammate Marcel Droding as well. Clearly, this is what they called their strategy discussions.
Here he
but
comes.
As you quite rightly say,
oh, here goes the
yes,
half
he makes
straight
the move.
around. Yes.
He makes the move.
Bit of a dive,
stick, as
possibly.
they're coming down to 14, takes full advantage of the DRS.
Yeah, bit of a
zone
switch
there.
back coming from that Renault. Going to have a lot more boost coming up onto this main straight, and we'll have possibly even DRS as well. And no, goes straight into the pits.
Oh, and he goes offline there, Damien Hartman.
That's the end of that one. Guido Airshine into the pits,
Guido
keeping a
Airshine
firm eye
is
on the
into
Toro
the
Rosso.
pits. Is he going to go onto a set of mediums now?
If I was Guido, I'd consider it. That's what he does. It's a set of
See
softs.
what he does. He's going onto a set of softs. Well, that would suggest to me he's not going to be able to go to the end of this race on those softs.
Oh
7
laps. No.
Oh no, he's out. I thought he was stuck in the pits there, but he is actually out, thank goodness.
Yeah, but obviously F1 2018 glitches got a lot of problem with synergy, haven't we, with these glitches? Thankfully, there doesn't seem to be any problems so far in this race.
No, we've all pits so far we've had. It did just freeze up a little bit as Guido Airshine was in the pits there, but quickly changed to him exiting the pits. So fortunately,
worth noting, Jonathan Donko's actually managed to beat Guido Airshine out of the pits and is now up into 13th position on the set of mediums to the end. So Jonathan Donko not all over for him just yet. He could get back into the top 10.
and indeed, as you pointed out earlier as well, Peter Phillip in the McLaren also on a set of mediums. He's on 8 laps. So he went on lap 12 onto those set of mediums, so that should be able to see him through at least into the high 40s.
Make note, the second Ferrari in the pits and leaving right now, and Marco Pullen now coming across the straight, so the second Ferrari's managed to get out in front of the Sauber, but is on another set of soft tyres on my screen, so he does have to pit again. Marco Pullen in a very, very good position.
Definitely, the Ferrari's got onto another set of softs. Marco Pullen only 3 seconds off the back of Bastianini, and the Ferraris just opened up enough of the gap there to make the difference on that pit, and they clearly took advantage. They could see that their tyres were starting to deg, saw the difference and decided to pit. So good shout there from Bass, most certainly. But the next one now is going to be Seb Bogart. Now Seb is, well, he's 36 seconds down the road from Marco Pullen, so Marco shouldn't pose too much of a challenge to him.
He should come out in first, but it all depends on the tyre strategy and whether they can stick with the same strategy or not, because I think that Debris has made a bit of a mistake going on a 2-stop, because he's going to now try and pull a 25-second gap on Marco Pullen, and he's got to do it within about 20 laps. If he can make a second a lap, it's quite plausible, but you've got to remember, Marco Pullen's going to the end of this race, and it could potentially go on to another set. Sorry, he needs to go on to another set of tyres. Make note, Bo is actually coming and gone to a set of ultra soft, so he's looking for an extremely quick middle stint. So possibly a counteraction with Marco Pullen's mediums. But interesting. We'll see which is the faster, the 1 or the 2-stop.
Well, I definitely think that Ferrari are responding to the Sauber there by putting a set of ultra softs on. I don't think that's what they were planning to do, because it just doesn't ring right for their normal strategy. So that suggests to me that they are responding to the Sauber driver of Marco Pullen there and looking to get some quick laps in to try and hold him off. So Marco Pullen, as we're speaking at this moment in time, he's under pressure from the Williams driver of Ruud Windau. Ruud Windau only 3/10 off the back of that Sauber now.
The question to Marco Pullen,
the
question I've got to give to Marco Pullen, is it worth even battling with Windau? Remember, he has to pit again. Pullen does as well. But the question is, will the Williams does need to pit earlier, or might even actually have to pit at the same time, so it might be worth battling actually. So this is going to be interesting for P3.
Definitely, I would say that Marco definitely needs to hold that position and
for sure
keep that Williams at bay, but equally he doesn't want to battle so hard that it's going to prejudice him in maintaining that gap, and if not closing it a little bit more to Bass. That gap was 3 seconds. It's now up to 9 seconds.
The same could be said for Root. Though remember, he's obviously on a set of softs and they're 15 laps old. Every little bit of stress he puts in those tyres is going to warm that carcass tyre up, and it's going to make it incredibly difficult to race on and make the car incredibly slippy. So yeah, it's obviously going to be close battling, but it could be a bit dangerous for both drivers. Keep a firm eye on that battle.
Well, Bass sets the provisional fastest time for this Shanghai Grand Prix so far with a 1:36. We're on lap 22 of 56. This is F1 tonight. 2018 Season 1 Race 3, and we're in Shanghai, China. We're watching Marco Pullen in the Sauber. He's been on these mediums from the start of the race. Great call from him, certainly from the start. Didn't have a great qualification. Was down in 15th. Has pulled it out well. He was actually in Q2 and 13th, sorry, and crashed out. So went into the barrier. Turn 8, I believe it was.
Well, interesting stuff coming at the moment for Guido Airshine, who's coming up on the rear of the Force India of Jonathan Donkel in P12 at the moment. Looking like those younger softs are starting to really dig into the track. Jonathan Donkel losing time on the Renault of Guido Airshine.
Indeed, only 7 tenths, 5 tenths between them now. So clearly Guido is looking to make the move, and he should have the advantage on those softs. They are a younger set of softs, and obviously Jonathan Donkel's on the mediums to take him through to the end of this race. Question is John going to fight him when he knows that he's on a set of softs and will undoubtedly have to pit again?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and if I was Donkel, if he gets too close, just let him go. At the end of the day, he's going to have to pit again. And I think Jonathan Donkel has got a real chance to get into the top 10, maybe even try and battle for something like 6th or 7th place, as Ruud Windahl is now coming to the pits, Team Williams.
So Ruud Windahl was just 6
Mediums
tenths
to the
off
end,
the back
surely.
of Marco Pullen, but he's now come in, so I think Marco Pullen's going to be breathing a sigh of relief.
Mediums to the end, surely, for the Williams. Let's have a look.
Gotta be.
No, I see another set of softs.
So another set of softs going on there. Boy Williamson in the Haas is now closing down on Marco Pullen. He's on a set of softs that have seen him 15 laps. So he won't be there too long. He's 3 seconds off the back of Marco Pullen, and Marco's position is just looking stronger and stronger.
Ooh, Jerome getting really close to the Ruud Windahl, who's just left the pits at the moment. Toro Rosso obviously on 18-lap-old softs at the moment, looking to try and get around Ruud Windahl on the newer set of softs. He doesn't want to be kept behind for too long. Ruud Windahl obviously wants to try and pull a gap out as much as he can, so interesting battle potentially for P7.
Well, I think Ruud's got a lot to prove. The Williams drivers started off so well in Australia, and we saw his teammate Ryan Drodig actually get a podium finish as well, which was a great result. Didn't do fare so well in Bahrain, but Ruud did, actually coming in the top 5, so he done very well there, and I think he's looking to prove himself once again here in China at Shanghai. So he's not going to give that place away easily, and he's certainly going to battle, and we can start to see he is pulling away from Jerome at this moment in time as they're coming out of turn 13 into 14. Jerome will have DRS, I think. Yes, he does on Ruud, but I don't think he'll be able to close the gap down enough, because that Williams is really performing well. Both drivers, I've got to say, we're only on the 3rd race, but for new drivers to the season and new to 2018, they've done a great job putting Williams up into 3rd in the championship, sorry, 4th in the championship.
Yeah, done a really good job, the Williams. I must say I was praising them quite heavily in Australia, doing a cracking job. Must say I've got more praise as well for Marco Pullen. 23 laps those mediums are now. He's currently 12 seconds just thereabouts on my screen behind the 2nd place Ferrari at the moment. A little bit apprehensive about when he's going to come into the pits though, because I have my sneaking suspicion he should be in the next 6 to 7 laps maybe. So potentially up to 30 laps. I must say that was some good slurping.
Oh, I do apologise. My mic's far too good. I shouldn't have done that. Apologies. Normally I do switch off my mic there. So apologies for that.
No, it's all right. The guys know you're having a cracking cup of tea.
Well, if any of my fellow shoutcasters do watch this, it was a red mark. It's very fortunate to be getting some tips from the shoutcasting community last week on my broadcast, and one of the things that they commented on was my ers between certain words, so I'm being very conscious and trying to steer away from that, although I know that I've dropped a few in, I'm absolutely certain. But this really is panning out to be a very interesting race from the point of view of strategy, because strategy it's really, it seems to me, and I know we're only into race 3 of the season, but strategy is much more a part of this championship, it seems, this year, and without a shadow of a doubt, that tyre management as well, that really is playing a major part. It's always played a part, but very major this season.
Very much this season, especially on this game. Marcel droning into the pits in the Renault, straight onto a set of soft tyres, so he'll be taking them probably around 20 laps before going on to a fresh set of ultra softs to the end, so it's looking like a 2-stop for Marcel droning in the Renault. Or other apologies, it could be a 3-stop.
I was just about to say, I think we might be looking at a 3-stop actually for Renaults.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be able to do...
possibly a 4-stop for Guido Airshine as well.
Yeah, it's looking very interesting for the Renaults. It's very interesting indeed. He could possibly go into a set of mediums towards the end of his stint, which I believe will be probably in about 10 laps time. Bear in mind, obviously, I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in front that have done well over 8 to possibly even as far as 14 laps in front. So, yeah, it's not looking too bad for Guido Airshine, but he's definitely going to have to go onto a set of mediums soon, because I don't think he's going to be able to take many more stops without losing positions.
Indeed, I'm just watching Boy Williamson in the Haas closing down on Marco Pullen now. He's got it down to 4/10 off the back of Marco Pullen, and he's clearly going to be looking to make the move. He's got the DRS on the start-finish straight as they come into turn 1. And I would expect Boy Williamson to be making the move at the end of this lap, undoubtedly, when they pick up the DRS after turn 13, if he doesn't manage to get it in beforehand, because there is every possibility that he could actually get in a potential overtake in turn 9 or 10, because he's that close. Ooh,
yeah, Boy Williamson at the
goes
moment
into
looking
the
for a bit of an overtake there. Obviously touched his tyres on the grass. Just taking a look at the moment, he's doing a really good job in defending Mark Pullen, but remember, obviously 25 lap old mediums is wanting to do a 1-stop. The question is, does he really have to battle with a driver that's probably going to be pitting a lot later than him? Because think about it, Marco Pullen's obviously going to be coming in a lot earlier for a set of softs. Meanwhile, Boy Williamson will probably be coming in for another set of softs later on in the race. So, end of the day, it is advantage Marco Pullen.
He is at this moment in time, and he is certainly keeping that Haas at bay. He had closed up the gap quite substantially. Still
bit of an overtake opportunity here, though. I
think it is now. This is what I was expecting him in turn 14 to make the move on Marco.
Oh, look how much time he's gaining. Here it comes.
Look at that. Look at that.
He's not interested.
Decides against it. Pulls out. He could have taken it there, but I think he made a wise decision.
Well, at the end of the day, he's going to be on possibly slightly more worn tyres at this point. Marco Pullen, remember, those mediums last the longest out of all the 3 tyres available. Boy Williamson obviously looking for a bit of an overtake. I'd over him as soon as he can, because that dirty air is not going to do any good towards the canvas temperature on his soft tyres.
And he is literally staring down
dirty air,
the back of Marco Pullen. You can see the dirty air affecting him as he's coming out of turn 3 there. This is going to be interesting now to turn 6. This is where he looked to make the move earlier, went onto the grass.
He can afford to brake later, Woods, because obviously he's got more grip in those tyres than Marco Pullen will ever have. So it's for sure worth braking that little bit later. And I really think this next main straight, it's his turn for 3rd place.
It's certainly looking that way. He's 4/10 off the back of Marco Pullen at this moment in time.
Oh, well taken.
They're just
beautiful.
Coming round to turn 11 now, and this is the critical one.
Nice work. Yeah, there goes Marco Pullen a little bit. There's an opportunity for the Haas.
Now this is the one. This is where Boy will make up the time now. We saw him really make up the time
Here
once
it
he's
is.
got the DRS, and he's going to make it definitely straight overtake. He should be able to make the move before they get to turn 14, which he does. Nicely done, nicely measured there. Good.
Marco Pullen, unsurprisingly, not really going to battle for it now.
Smart racing there from Boyd Williamson, and Marco, yeah, not really pushing it. Doesn't really need to be perfectly honest with you. He's sitting pretty. He's in 4th place, but he knows that he's got time on his hands.
All 3 cars in front of him have got to pit again. End of the day, and Marco Pullen does have to. Make note though, at the moment the gap is currently 19 seconds. It used to be around 25 if the Ferraris want to be safe and sure that they're definitely going to be okay for 1-2. So both Boyd Williamson and Marco Pullen have got themselves in a really good position here. Battle for P3 is definitely going to be the most interesting.
Well, most definitely. I mean, Seb Bogart's certainly safe in P1 even if he pits. Bas de Breen is the one that's really under potential pressure here, because there's only 19 seconds between him and Boyd Williamson, and indeed Marco Pullen, because Marco's only just 1 second off the back of Boyd Williamson. So Bas really needs to pull out some excellent laps here. He's on 8 laps so far on those softs. Looking at the field, we know that he can certainly go into the mid-20s on those at the very least.
If you want to take a look though at
how
how
really needs to
well
get pedal
those
to the
softs
metal,
last.
doesn't he?
If he wants to look at how well these soft tyres last, though, Woods, take a look at Jerome Portner at the moment in the Toro Rosso.
Yeah, he's on 23.
P6, 23 laps old tyres. That left tyre, that front left, looks horrific. He must be struggling horribly at the moment. It's blistering, and it's quite clearly on their very last legs, those softs. So you can't really expect these softs to last around 20 laps. So if Marco Pullen wants to last a long time in this race, he's got to take these medium tyres that he's currently wearing to around about lap 36. So this one stop is going to be quite dangerous towards this end of the race. So he's got to keep that pace going and keep putting Boyd Williamson under pressure.
Well, I think
Clearly
if anyone can do it, Marco can, and I think he's set out at the beginning to go that deep into the race. I would expect him to undoubtedly go into the mid-30s, and if he possibly can, a little bit more, but certainly the mid-30s, I believe, is what he's aiming for.
I think he probably wants to aim a little bit later and try and get himself into the upper 30s, possibly even into the 40s, so then he could possibly scratch a set of softs quite nicely. But he's going to have to consider potentially coming in early and going on to a set of softs as early as possible and look after the softs at the early part of his stint, because those mediums are looking very slow compared to the 21-lap-old softs in front of him. Either way, Boyd Williamson and Marco Pullen probably going to be coming in around about the same time at this point now. The only difference is that Marco Pullen has the option to pick soft or ultra soft. Meanwhile, Boyd at the moment is going to be stuck as Bo in for P1 is now coming into the pits, and his compatriot
into the pits,
taking the lead.
What's he going to go on to?
Should be set soft to the end, surely. Might be mediums,
well, he's
actually.
okay. He's got 29 seconds. I don't know how he managed that, actually, because he was at 19 seconds. All of a sudden, he's jumped up to 29 seconds. So I'm not too sure what happened there, actually. But still, we'll see. He's got the window. They both have. They're both going on to a set of softs to see them through to the end of this race.
26 laps. Well, 26 laps is a bit risky.
They do have a lighter fuel load. I think they are taking a bit of a risk potentially, but they do have a lighter fuel load. They are ahead, so they can set the pace.
Lovely to make note as well. Sorry, I just wanted to make note as well at the moment. Bo currently not using any ERS, so quite clearly he's wanting to look after these tyres now, which is a very good call. 26 laps in a set of softs is tricky but doable. And he's
just watching now, unfortunately, as Marcel France goes into the back of Marcel Droning, coming round turn 14. And yes, he's going into the pits, Marcel France. Marcel Droning, I'm not too sure what's happened, whether he's got any damage to the back of that Renault or not. He's currently down in P10. His teammate Guido Airshine is P11. So collision there between Miguel France and Marcel Droning.
Just going to mention now, obviously, so at the moment the co-compatriot in the Ferrari currently 10-lap-old softs at the moment. will probably not pit just now. Got a few laps left in those soft tyres. Marco Pullen, though, losing ground at the moment on the Haas driver in P3. Will have to take these tyres definitely another 5 or so laps before considering softs. So he's probably going to be aiming for around about lap 36 sort of entry. But if I was him, I'd consider coming in a little bit earlier, possibly push the tyres to around a 22-23 lap stint and look after them at the start. So he's got a few options, Marco Pullen, if he wants to try and salvage a podium.
Well, I think if he were to come in now, really, Marco needs to be looking to go on the set of softs. I think the ultra softs is just too wild a call to go on. I wouldn't surprise me if he did. And if he does, if we see him go into the mid-30s, I would bet that he's going to go ultra soft.
If he goes into the mid-30s, he's going to risk ultra softs. That's a really poor call, I think. He has to come onto a set of softs in lap 36. If I was him, I would consider softs now. This lap, he's done 30 laps on these mediums, he'll be doing 25 on the softs. If you think about it, the softs in front of him,
still touch and go,
23 laps softs at the moment. He's probably going to take those softs a little bit longer than Marco Pullen on the softs. He could make up 4 and a bit seconds in a couple of laps on a fresh set of softs. So if I were him, I'd consider it.
Watching Boy Williamson now, and he's taking it very, very gingerly, and you can see some substantial wear on his front left, and that is the tyre that takes the most damage on this track, and he is taking it pretty easy, and he's on those 23 laps. I mean, we know obviously the lighter fuel load will assist them, but I still think the Ferrari's going on to these, well, we'll watch it, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a very, very interesting final 5 laps of this race, where it could literally be anyone's.
I'd consider Pullen coming to the pits now. Guy in front has not come in. Is he going to go? Yep, no surprise there. He's in the pits.
Yeah, Marco comes in on lap 30.
Set of softs to the end. Look after your tyres.
Set of softs. It's got to be. It's got to be a set of softs. I'm praying it's a set of softs. I'm just hoping
if it's a set of ultra softs, it could work. It could work, but he's going to have to pull out 4 seconds.
Potentially work, but it'd be pushing the limits.
He's got to pull in 4 seconds and then another 25 on top of that, which could happen.
See, no, he's going on to a set of softs.
No, there's no surprise there.
Pullen will be coming out in 6th place on a set of softs, and this really is going to put him in a very, very good position. And I think a podium finish, if he can maintain it, and it'll be
it all depends on what Boy Williamson does, though. But it all depends on what he does. If he comes into the pits now and goes onto a set of mediums or another set of softs, if he has the opportunity to. I mean, he has already done 1 stop already. Has he done? Did he do a soft stint already beforehand?
He actually did, I believe, an ultra soft.
An ultra soft run. So if he goes onto a set of softs now, he could possibly keep the podium. So he'll have to come in now. If he wants to take him, if he wants to try and keep his podium. If he leaves it too long, he could lose the podium. So it all depends on what Boy Williamson does at the end of this lap.
Well, he started off on a set of ultra softs, came in lap 8, went on to the softs that he's on now. He's done 24 laps, coming up to 25 laps, and I agree with you. I think it's all a question now of when Boy will pit.
He should come.
That said,
oh, he's not.
Going round
That's
again.
risky. That's risky.
He's now done. We'll be doing 25 laps on those softs. Seb Bogart comfortably in 2nd place. He's 12 seconds behind his teammate Bastard Breen. That ultra soft stint certainly paid off for Bast, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly did. I'm looking at.
Sorry for Sebastian.
First, it did, yeah, because you can see there the gap now currently 12 seconds, and I'm going to be dropping. Bear in mind, obviously, if you take a look at the leaderboard at the moment and what the gap is, Boy Williamson at the moment is 25 seconds behind the likes of Bree and has to pit as yellow flags are waved in sector 3 for, I think, is it Guido Esch? No, I thought there was a bit of a collision there. No, never mind. No, yeah, I was saying the ultra soft stint, definitely a good idea. Question is, Boy Williamson coming into the pits now, possibly give him an opportunity to boost his current P3 position to P2, and if he leaves it any longer, he could risk losing P3 to Marco Pullen. So definitely interesting stuff over the next 5 to 10 laps. Keep it here at F1 tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's not forget John Donkel. We haven't mentioned him for a little while now, but John Donkel's currently down in PA on that set of mediums. He's done 17 laps. We know that those can go at least to 30 laps, and in this instance, with the fuel load, I know I kept mentioning it, but the weight really does play such a factor in this. He could go potentially to, well, high 40s, low 50s,
and then go into a set of
these laps to go for an ultra
yeah.
softs.
He could, if he really has been careful at the start of his stint, because like I said, we've let him sort of run and we haven't kept an eye on him, but if he's been really careful with his tyres, he could potentially take the mediums to the end. But what I'm worried about is that front left tyre, because I think that's a flat spot, and I think he may have locked up at some point, because that front left tyre does not look healthy. So I'm wondering if
no,
these
it doesn't.
tyres...
I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering...
I agree with you, it's not looking good.
I don't know if he's flat spotted them. Either way, it doesn't look like it's very grippy, that left, so he may have to come in earlier.
I don't think those mediums are going to take him as deep as he wanted to go, unfortunately.
I think he's pushed a little bit too hard on those tyres, which is a real shame. Either way, Jerome Porter in the pits.
Into the pits. Well, Ruud Windahl, he's up in 4th place for Williams.
Great job from Williams.
Great show from Williams. He has done 2 stops. So he's on his 2nd set of tyres now. He's done 11 laps on these softs. Looking at this, he could potentially go another 15 laps.
Nice to see the 2 Renaults
take
doing
him
a
into the
job.
early 50s, and this is what I'm saying. I think the podium's looking pretty safe, 1st and 2nd at this moment in time for Ferrari, but it's that 3rd place on the podium. It's open to about potentially 3 or 4 drivers as it stands.
Potentially, I think Ruud Windahl's got himself back into it on those set of softs. Bear in mind that they are the 2nd youngest set of soft tyres and can go on to another set of ultra soft as he's in the pits now. Comes in Williamson. The question is, will Marco Pullen get out in front of him? It's quite plausible.
He should be able to. Marco Pullen now just approaching turn 14. Don't know actually if he will.
Haas is in the pits now. Set of softs. Will Marco Pullen be able to get out in front? You know what? I think he's been beaten.
Don't know if he will. It's going to be very, very close. I'm watching Marco now.
Nah, he's been beaten. Marco's been beaten.
Boy, he's been released. Can Marco do it? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Fantastic. Marco Pullen gets out ahead of the Haas of Davey Hartman and also Boy Williamson.
Boy
Williamson gets out ahead of him. I do apologise. Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately by only 4 seconds, but bear in mind those soft tyres are going to be quite cold. If you look at the track conditions, it's quite foggy, isn't it? It's quite misty, so it's going to be quite cold at the moment. So I'm thinking Marco Pullen still might be able to gain some time on him before those soft tyres of
wondering if
Williamson
we're not going to see some wet conditions towards the end of this race, because that sky has definitely darkened up. We did see damp conditions towards the end of Q3, and if we have some light rain here, which is very likely, certainly not any impossibility by any stretch of the imagination, that is really going to mix things up.
20 laps to go, we'll see what happens. Anything can happen.
Indeed, 20 laps left. You are with F1 tonight, 2018 season 1, race 3, Shanghai, China. We've seen quite a number of drivers unfortunately drop out in the early stages in the first 5 or 6 laps. We lost 5 drivers unfortunately. I think more due to technical issues than track issues. But we've been watching the Ferraris maintain that 1-2 throughout this race. 3rd position has been fluctuating. Currently, Ruud Windahl for Williams is in 3rd place. We did have Boy Williamson up there, Marco Pullen at one stage, John Donkel as well, and Guido Airshine earlier on for Renault. We've seen quite a few changes around, and we're watching now, and it's strategy and tyres. It's always played a major part, obviously, but as I was saying earlier, and looking to get a little bit sort of from yourself really on this, Jottr, it's come much, much more into play this season, far more than it was in 2017.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, with the introduction of the canvas temperatures alongside the surface temperatures of the tyres, it obviously makes it more interesting for the drivers to determine, right, how am I going to look after my tyres? Do I have to sandbag a little bit to look after them? And for sure, you can extend your stint easily now by about 5 or 10 laps. So it's not as difficult as it used to be now to extend your stint in F1 2017, but it is a lot more easier to rip your tyres to shreds, especially if you've got no ABS, because you can lock them up and now flat spot them, and that is going to be tricky to hold on to. All we have to do is look at Jonathan Donkel. Those mediums are 20 laps old, and you can see that front left tyre is incredibly unhealthy, so he's not looked after those tyres, and now he may have ruined his race because of it.
Yeah, it definitely is going to affect his strategy, because I'm sure he was looking to go deeper, and I think he will have to come in earlier than he was expecting. The other element as well, and you made reference to it earlier with Guido, is the ERS. And you know, the ERS, again, another factor the drivers need to take. Some drivers have taken to it a lot better than others, and you were again commenting on I think it was either Seb or Bass, on how they were actually managing their ERS.
Yeah, Sebastian Bogart at the moment is currently keeping his ERS mode off. In fact, bringing it down to 0 round the short corners, just to, you know, save ERS and also save his tyres. Remember, these soft tyres have got to go to the end at 26, 27 laps. It's quite tricky. But if he's in ERS 0, he's making sure there's not too much power being planted into the tyres, so he's looking after them really, really well. But take a look, obviously, and even with that looking after, you can see there at the top, 8 seconds is the difference between him and his teammate on 10-lap older tyres. So keep a firm eye on that one. It's going to be interesting. Also keep a firm eye with the ERS mode as well for the runners in the McLarens. I think they were at one point, they were struggling for ERS, but I think they've managed to recover it now.
Yeah, Mark Stappers and Peter Phillips down 11th and 12th place respectively. But I'm just looking at this, and Seb looks as if he is closing down on Bass. I mean, could we see a Ferrari challenge here? Could we see Bogart on Breen?
No, I think Baz will probably come into the pits before Sebastian gets anywhere near overtaking, simply because as teammates, obviously these guys know each other in real life, they well respect each other, they don't want to get in each other's way. So I reckon Baz will come into the pits before Sebastian gets anywhere near the other Ferrari. Keep a firm eye out on Windass, by the way, because I have my sneaking suspicion that Haas driver of Boy Williamson is going to get incredibly close to Window in the Williams in the next couple of laps. Keep a firm eye on it.
Well, Ruud Window currently in 3rd place. He's 30 seconds off the back of Seb Bogart in 2nd. Boy Williamson is in 4th, 11.5 seconds off the back of Ruud Window. He is on a fresher set of softs, she said, selling seashells by the seashore. So he is on that fresher set of softs, so he should be able to catch up with him. Marco Pullen is hanging in though. He's in 5th with 6 laps on those softs. Those will undoubtedly see him through
Baz
to
in
the
pits,
end.
no surprise, mediums to the end.
So, yeah, Bass is coming into the pits. This fight, I suspect, Ruud Window is undoubtedly going to be coming in before the end of the race. This fight for the podium, the 3rd place on the podium now.
Oh, Sebastian's
looking
out.
At this, I'm saying it's between Boy
Sebastian's
and Boy
out.
Williamson.
He's crashed.
He's crashed?
Yeah, he's out.
No!
He's out.
Where did he crash?
I don't know. I think it
Where
was
did
just
he crash?
coming round. I don't know. I think it was coming around turn 5, turn 6, but he's crashed out. And yeah, right there through turn 4, I think it was.
Yeah,
and,
it was.
That's it.
There was turn 4. Seb has actually crashed out on turn 4. He
Amazing
is
stuff for
going
Baz.
to be going ballistic. Absolutely ballistic. He is not going to be happy with that. Yeah, definitely turn 4. I was just watching Ruud Window coming round there, and he's still in the barrier. So what a turn up for the books. It just goes to show you just cannot predict these races, because anything can happen. And we've just seen Seb Bogart, our race leader, crash out on turn 4. His teammate's still in, so Bass Breen is now taken up the mantle and has moved up into 1st place.
One person
Ruud
is smiling.
Window is now in 2nd.
One person is going to be smiling,
Williamson.
giving Marco Pullen.
Oh, absolutely, because this now guarantees Marco a podium place.
Potentially,
he doesn't
yeah.
have to fight it out between with Boy Williamson, because I was just saying, you know, that third place was going to be between these two drivers, but Ruud Window is going to have to pit. He's going to come out of play. Boy Williamson will take up second place and Marco Pullen will take up third, but I still expect we're going to see a fight between Marco Pullen and Boy Williamson towards the final knockings of this race.
Yeah, for P2, obviously their tyres are relatively similar in age, about 3 laps separating them. Ruud Window has to come in again, there's no doubt about it. If both Boy Window and Marco Pullen look after their tyres, they could potentially go to the end. It is possible, but incredibly tricky.
Ruud Window has just pitted.
Yeah, no surprise
Boy
there.
Williamson
That's obviously in response. That's in response to that.
Into second place. Marco Pullen will move up into
mediums to the
third
end.
Place.
Yeah, Ruud Window mediums to the end, so he's obviously looking for a longer stint, so he's going to be faster towards the end of the race, so Ruud Window may be one to watch towards the end.
Well, this has really proved very, very interesting indeed with
Demi Hartman.
Bogart.
Oh, what a shame. Demi Hartman got really close, but I think that might be his race over. The best he's going to be able to achieve is P5.
Yeah, I think so. Couldn't quite manage it. Ruud Window got out ahead of him. So Ruud Window in the Williams, 4th place. Marco Pullen for Sauber, fantastic result for him. Is currently in 3rd place. Boy Williamson, equally good for Boy Williamson as well. He put in a great show last week as well at Bahrain. So he's certainly stamping his mark without
big shout to
any
Jonathan
doubt at all.
Donkel, by the way, Woods. Just want to make it clear here, is all 24 lap old mediums. They will go in total to 40 laps. The old, those mediums, they can go to the end. But be very fearful at the moment for Jonathan Donkel, because he is not looking after those tyres right now. He is going into corners too quickly and causing a lot of wear on the rights as well as the lefts. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Jonathan Donkel gets to the end, if indeed he can.
I think we might see him come in very soon and go onto a set of ultra softs, because he's certainly in a window where he could do that.
Yeah, it's quite possible for sure.
I mean, I don't think it's going to serve him well. I mean, he's in P6 at this moment in time, but I don't think it's going to serve him well.
Yeah, he'll drop to P8 and might be able to achieve P7 again off the first Renault, but it's quite possible to try and get up to P7, but if I was him, he could risk the end.
Well, Demi Hartman is not giving up in the Haas. He is bearing down on the back of the Williams of Ruud Window. It's only 5/10 between
Marco
them.
Pullen's going to be smiling behind that helmet, Woods. Think about it. If Ruud Window's going to be battling with Davey Hartman, he's just all he has to do, keep looking after those tyres and just pull away slowly, because at the end of the day, he's going to pull away if the other guys are battling.
Without any doubt, I mean, clearly, when you're having to defend, you will slow down, because you're more interested in watching the car behind and what he's doing than watching the road ahead of you. So it does slow you down, and there's no doubt about it. Ruud is definitely in a battle here with Demi Hartman. Demi Hartman is obviously on a fresher set of, well, I'll say he's not on a fresher set of tyres. He's on 6 laps on the softs, whereas Ruud Window's only on his first lap on those mediums. So advantage does really go to Demi at this moment in time from a tyre point of view.
Baz de Breen at the moment looking incredibly fast at the moment, setting a fast lap, but he's absolutely burning through his ERS and therefore burning through his tyres. He has the opportunity to do it, don't get me wrong, but that Ferrari is going to have no ERS to battle with if he makes a mistake. And remember, those tyres will burn through a lot quicker as well, the more he's in engine mode 5, ERS mode 5 rather, so keep a firm eye on that one.
Well, Ruud Window given a breath. Take a nice deep breath as Demi Hartman makes turn 14 wide, so he's now dropped a little bit further behind. He's still under a second, he's still 7/10 off the back of Ruud Window, but it is giving Ruud a little bit more breathing space than he was in the previous lap.
He's got no option, he has to get around him, and he has to get around him fast, otherwise those tyres will burn so far out they won't be able to pull enough of a gap out when he does get round him, and therefore Ruud Window will just overtake him again on the set mediums towards the end of the race, so Demi Hartman needs to get him round him this lap.
Oh, I agree with you on that one. If he doesn't do it this lap, he may have a 1 or 2 lap window to do it, but
nicely taken corner. Oh, even better though from Ruud
really
Windahl. Great
pushing
driving.
that car now. He's starting to close down again on Marco Pullen. So his concentration is now on the track ahead of him rather than the car behind him. Maybe Hartmann is still within DRS. He will have DRS on this. But I don't believe he's going to have sufficient to close down that gap in order to make the move at 14.
Dear.
He's going to be ginger around 14. He lost it on the previous lap, went wide.
Interesting stuff from Windahl.
Time.
Oh, interesting stuff from Windahl. He's using automatic ERS, so he's not going to be able to utilise the power, full power of ERS on that main straight. Demi Hartmann, manual ERS. He has the opportunity to pick any one he wants.
Demi now in the second DRS zone.
Oh, here comes the move.
DRS zone, sorry. He's making the move into turn one. Can he make it stick? Oh, close. So close. Nearly had contact there into turn one as they're coming round turn two. Left hand turn into three. Round four. Winder up in preparation for coming to that almost hairpin of turn six. And I think he's going to look to make a move here into turn six if he can.
Got to get round in. 3-second time penalty for that though.
Doesn't make it stick. Davey Hartmann's picking up some penalties there for exceeding track limits. He's certainly got that corner on six.
If Marco Pullen's got this in the background, he's certainly smiling behind his helmet, that's for sure.
Well, well deserved from Marco. He's only got 13 laps to go. But equally, Boy Williamson's put in a great race as well for Haas. So he is going to be happy bunny there for Haas. Certainly great points for them as it stands at this moment. They're currently down in 7th place, so
ERS
points that they would certainly be looking for.
Potentially a move coming up here after, might be at the end of the next DRS straight though.
Damie is looking to close. He's only got really
nice
this last lap, I think. Took it a little bit too tight on the previous lap. But he's now got second DRS zone. Can he make it stick? Can he make the move into turn one? Needs to get past this Williams of Ruud Windahl if he's got any chance of gaining more points. This is it now. Oh, a little bit of a lock up there.
Demi Hartmann's made a bit of a mistake,
Round two
I think.
into three.
Made a bit of a mistake, Demi Hartmann. He's
it.
got no ERS left. He has no ERS left to play with.
He can't do it. And I think we're going to start to see Ruud Windahl starting to pull out ahead of him once we get onto the straighter. He's only 5/10 off the back of him, but I'm sure that Ruud is going to start to pull away from him.
It's going to be this lap or next lap that Ruud Windahl's going to end up pulling away. You can see that gap is starting to form now, and he's trying everything he can, but those softs are going to start to age, and the mediums are going to become the faster tyre. Really unfortunate stuff for Demi Hartmann, but he needs to manage his ERS a lot better if he wants to try and get overtakes like that one done.
Well, it's his to take if he can, but
you can see the gap now. You can see the gap now.
He's now 1.2 seconds behind Ruud Windahl.
Oh, that Haas is really slow. It's not even getting into the 200s at the moment. Meanwhile, that Williams is just pulling away at 202. I think the Williams is now going to have this advantage. Full steam ahead now to see if they can try and beat Marco Pullen on the 12-lap old softs.
Well, Marco has maintained that gap to Boyne Williamson. It's been hovering around the 6.2, 6.3. So he's maintaining that gap. He doesn't seem to be closing it down. The question here is, can Ruud Windahl close down on Marco Pullen? Because he's only 5 seconds behind him. We've got 11 laps to go. We could see, as we said earlier, there was a potential 3 or 4 drivers for that 3rd place, and even with Seb Bogart crashing out on turn 4, that's still very much the case, isn't it?
If I was a driver right now, I'd rather be in Ruud Windahl's position. It is P4, but he's currently on 5-lap old mediums. By the end of this race, he will be on 16-lap old mediums. Marco Pullen will be on 24-lap old softs. So, for sure, Ruud Windahl is in a better position here. He's got to try and make up 5 seconds. It might not be happening straight away, but I think it could be the next, possibly 8 laps maybe, towards the end of this race, where we're going to see some real battling for P3.
And I agree with you there, because I'm watching Marco Pullen's time, and he is only very small. I say he was up to 7 seconds behind Boy Williamson, but he's now brought it down to 6.3 again. So he is maintaining that gap, 6.3, but Ruud Window has already taken out over a second in one lap to Marco Pullen. So on that basis, he should be closing in on the back of Marco Pullen around about lap 50.
Yeah, Marco Pullen's in a bit of a sort of rock-hard place here between the rock and a hard place here at the moment, because unfortunately that Sauber has got to choose whether he wants to sort of be, you know, lenient on his fuel, his ERS and his tyres, and he's stuck behind a back marker at the moment who's not letting him through. There we are, he's got through, so he's lost even more time there. At the moment though, as I was saying, Marco Pullen's stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's either got to maintain his tyres and maintain his fuel in ERS, so he's got stuff to play with when he gets on a bit of a battle, or he's got to burn through it to try and make up time. So but in doing so, he's going to have no ERS and no tyres to play with when it does come to the inevitable battle. So he's stuck. So I definitely think it's advantage Window by a long mile.
Marcel France in the Toro Rosso held him up a little bit. I don't think he was aware that he was going to be lapped.
Marcel France is actually not, I think he's not here by the looks of things. I think he's got a red X above his name at the moment, and I think it's an AI driving that isn't ghosted. So really unlucky stuff at the moment for Marco Pullen. Nothing is falling his way.
It's such a shame, because he really has driven such a remarkable race. It's not the end yet, he could still do it, but he's going to be definitely being challenged by Ruud Window within the next 3 to 4 laps.
Big shout out to Boy Williamson, by the way. Well, sorry, I was just saying he's played an absolute stellar performance. Did a cracking job. 2-stop race for him. Currently 29 seconds behind P1 on the set of soft tyres to the end of this race. He's played an absolute blinder to get past Marco and all of them through the pit stops. So great job from the Haas.
It is a great job. I mean, Boy Williamson started in 6th place. He has moved up 4 places. Marco Pullen, as I said, did start in 15th, so he's actually jumped up 12 places. But equally, Ruud Window, he actually started in 14th, so he's actually moved up 10 places. So great job from those drivers, and Boy Williamson most definitely has put in a great race as well. But I've got to be honest with you, I'm rooting for Marco Pullen. I know that he didn't have the great season 3 by any stretch of the imagination in 2017, and really wants to set his mark in 2018. He hasn't had the opportunity in the previous 2 races, but even if he doesn't get that podium finish, I think he has can be very proud of the race that he's put in.
A great performance, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. He's put in a great performance. But we will see the measure of his mettle, I think, within the next couple of laps.
Got to take into consideration, I mean, of course, I'd always want to vote for the underdog, and hope he does well. I've got to remember, he has already done just a 1-stop. He started on mediums, he's gone on to softs at the end of this race. So I really would like to see the sort of uncharacteristic 1-stop strategy around the track work for Marco Pullen, especially considering his starting position. But Ruud Window, I think, has got too much of an advantage, and it basically his 3rd place. He's holding it. It's whether he loses it or not.
I totally agree. We're on lap 48 of 56. This is F1 tonight. 2018 season 1 race 3, Shanghai, China, and what a race it has been. We were looking at a Ferrari lockout for 1-2 on the podium, but Seb Bogart uncharacteristically crashed out in turn 4, totally misjudged it, went into the barrier, took out his front left, game over. Bastabreen, his teammates stayed in, moved up from 2nd to 1st.
Ruud Window's made a huge mistake coming through turn 5, gone massively wide, and he's lost his position to the Haas driver in P4. Ruud Window, a catastrophic mistake. Marco Pullen now in a good advantage.
So Damie Hartman takes full advantage of that mistake from Ruud in the Williams. Damie Hartman in the Haas moves up to 4th place, and this is looking good for Haas. 4th and 2nd place, some great and valuable points for them, because at this moment in time they are sitting in P7 in the championship on 15 points. So this would really pull them up in the championship in the
Magic.
team.
Oh, wow. Magic stuff from twice. I was just thinking, Marco Pullen in P3 at the moment. Demi Hartman is not going to want to let this position. Ruud Window making another mistake through 14. He's really struggling to maintain gap and as well try and take that position back. But remember, Demi Hartman obviously on 3-lap younger tyres to Marco Pullen, so their tyres are probably going to be about the same. So there's no chance really of Demi Hartman managing to get onto the podiums. So he's going to want to try and keep P4, which means he's going to have to keep Ruud Window back, who's going to be on the faster tyre. So the longer Demi Hartman keeps Ruud Window behind him, the better it's going to be for Marco Pullen. So this is going to be interesting stuff. It's Ferrari power 1 to 4.
It is, absolutely. And this track is a great track, undoubtedly, for Ferrari, for the straight line speed that they have, and the Haas is certainly demonstrating that here as we are watching now. But I still think Damie's going to look to make that move. He's only, he's now under a second behind Marco Pullen. So Damie is definitely going to be looking to make the move. I don't think he was expecting to get into the position he was when he was behind Ruud, but because Ruud made that error.
Oh, I feel now I'm thinking now he's going to have DRS at the end of this, but he has got no ERS to play with. Remember, Demi Hartman is really struggling with ERS management, and he's currently on ERS mode 4 with 25% battery. He's going to be running out at the end of this straight. Meanwhile, Marco Pullen on, I think it's automatic ERS, so that'll choose it for him. Possible overtake happening into the DRS zone.
Well, it looks like it. He's certainly able to make the move into
Still
14.
Going to go for the move, surely. Still going to go for the move, surely.
And he make it stick. He does. He does.
Oh, he's gone wide, Demi Hartman. Oh, he went into neutral.
Demi Hartman does make the move. Takes
Marco
third
Pullen
place
went into
from
neutral.
Marco Pullen.
Oh, what shame. I think Marco Pullen went into neutral and he was trying to rev his engine. It's not going to go anywhere in neutral, buddy.
So Marco Pullen, unfortunately, making an error there. Making
That's
it
horrible
a little
for
bit
Marco
easier
Pullen.
for Demi Hartman in the Haas. Ruud Window now closing in on the back of Marco. Marco needs to pull it together, and he needs to do it now. He needs to concentrate on getting that Haas ahead of him. Forget about what's behind. I think if I was to give him any advice, is forget what's behind you.
Pullen's made a mistake again.
He's
struggling. He is struggling horrendously with rear end grip by the looks of things, because he's messed up again through turn 5. Ruud Window is going to overtake him on the DRS zone, surely.
What a great shame, because Marco has put in such a fantastic performance in this race. Let's see if he can get it together. As I say, I really think he needs to forget about that Williams now. Oh, and Ruud Window.
Mistake. Yeah, mistake.
Ruud Window goes off at turn 10. Deep sigh of relief from Marco Pullen. Now he can concentrate on that Haas that's ahead of him. He's got 5 laps. He can do it. They're on equal tyres. He can do it. And the Haas really taking turn 14 quite gingerly there, Demi Hartman.
Marco Pullen's made a really good mistake. Made a really good move rather with his ERS. He's decided to save the battery, which has saved his tyres and give him an opportunity to battle with Window through this DRS zone. Will he be able to hold P4?
Oh, just managing to hold on to it.
Mediums have got more grip.
He will have advantage into turn 4. He
good
will
work.
Be on the inside, so he will have the advantage.
Good defence, but they've got no grip. Those softs are no grip at all.
Oh, but Ruud will have now into 6. He's got the inside. Yeah, and Ruud makes the move.
He's still attacking. He's got the inside. He's got the inside.
Marco's fighting back. This is really good, hard racing here between the drivers, but Ruud is pulling out now ahead of him.
Pullen got too greedy with that corner and he's lost time because of it. What a shame. I think it's P5.
I think it is, and he's going to be so disappointed, doing well, but still, great result. I mean, 10 places, he can still,
He can
his
smile
cap
with 10 places.
to
I
that
think
one.
the thing is, he had an opportunity. He didn't manage to get it this time, but it should be confidence boosting in knowledge that he can make these big moves. He's just got to remember,
Absolutely.
don't be greedy, because he's got greedy with the acceleration through, I think it was turn 9, and he's lost buckets of time because of it. And now Ruud Windau flying into the distance. What a shame.
Well, he is certainly assured of 5th place, Marco Pullen.
Shouts out
And
Jonathan
some
Donkel.
valuable points for
Wow,
Sauber.
35 laps on those mediums. They look rough at the moment. 5 more laps left available on those tyres, and I think they're going to go to the end
I
quite
recall
nicely.
10 laps ago, we were saying those tyres were looking rough and he needed to pit, but he's stuck with it. He's maintained that 6th place.
I think that flat spot has worn down now. Now it's just gone from flat spotting to blistering. So he's had a bit of a rough final stint, Jonathan Donkel, but he's managed to make it work. Currently 6 seconds the gap between him and 7th, so a good position for him on a set of mediums that will go to lap 40 on those tyres. So cracking job from the Force India driver.
Absolutely, John putting in a great performance there. We were questioning his choice and whether he was going to make it stick. And Guido sets the fastest lap in the Renault with a 1:35.2.
Cracking stuff from the Renault.
Guido Airshine for Renault down in 8th place, but managed to set a fastest lap. Well, he's got a nice gap. I suppose he's got a clear road ahead of him pretty much, so...
Well, I think he doesn't want to risk it, really. I think probably if there was any team managers at Renault, they'd be telling him, chill out, we don't want purple lap times, we've got to look after him to the end.
Well, we've only got 3 laps to go. We're on lap 53 of 56. F1 tonight, 2018. This is season 1, race 3, Shanghai, China. And boy, has it been a race. Well, we saw some early DNFs due to technical issues and some track issues as well in the early stages of this race. We saw the Ferraris keeping that lead, taking 1st and 2nd. And then what happened? Well, towards the last third of this race, we were watching Seb Bogart, who was clearly in a very, very strong position in 1st, comes out of the pits on a nice fresh set of tyres, taken to the end, goes round turn 3, into turn 4, too much power, loses it, goes into the barrier, knocks himself out, and it just opened up the field. Bras de Breen moved up from 2nd to 1st, and he's 32 seconds down the road ahead of Boy Williamson in the Haas, who's currently 2nd place, started in 6th. He's gained 4 places, but Damie Hart, I'm not too sure actually. Quickly check where Damie started. Damie was actually down in 8th place, so he's gained 5 places. And his teammate, as I say, was in 6th place. So they've done well there, the Haas drivers, valuable points for them. They've only got 3 laps to go. I think it's pretty clear, barring any incidents, which can happen, as we know, that they will maintain those places. Ruud Windau put in a great show there. He's going to be finishing, as it stands at this moment in time, in 4th place. And again, he actually moved up 10 places as well, so he was in 14th. Alongside him, or rather, yeah, it was alongside him, would have been Marco Pullen in the Sauber, and he's now dropped down to 5th place. He was in 3rd place. He was looking at a podium finish. Just went on those softs a little bit too early. He should really, ideally, with hindsight, he should have gone onto a set of mediums, shouldn't he? So we're expecting him to go on to set of mediums. He went on to a set of softs. Hasn't played out for him, rather unfortunately. So he has dropped down to 5th place. He was overtaken initially by Damie Hartman. Ruud Windau made a few errors which allowed Damie Hartman through, but then Ruud Windau closed the gap in on Marco Pullen. A 3-second time penalty there for the Renault driver, Guido Airshine. He's clearly looking to put in some purple times, show his mark and at least get some points for the fastest lap. But Marco Pullen, he's down in 5th, he's gained 10 places. Ruud Windau for Williams, phenomenal drive for him as well. He's gained 10 places, started in 14th, up to 4th. Really performed very, very well indeed. But the Haas drivers of Damie Hartman and Boy Williamson, great result for Haas. Bras de Breen, he's going to be a happy bunny. little less happy that his teammate didn't finish the race as well. I'm sure Ferrari were looking at that 1-2 and the valuable points they would bring. He will be picking up the full 25 points. And at this moment in time, that will certainly help him, because Bass, as it stands, is currently 4th. That will move him up into 2nd place in the championship. So Ferrari will occupy 1st and 2nd place and the team championship as well. They're currently on 68 points. So they will be finishing off on 93 points, which will only open up the gap. Haas, well, they'll be picking up some valuable points as well. And with those points, they're currently sitting in 7th in the Constructors' Championship. And that will put them up to 2nd. Sauber, as they stand at this moment in time, Marco will certainly help them, and it looks like they're going to maintain 3rd place. Can you believe it? 3rd place. The Constructors' Championship. Unfortunately, Nicky Visser, his teammate, went out earlier, but certainly was performing very well indeed as well. So we're now on the final lap. Bastabreen coming round turn 2 into 3 on his final lap. What a great show from them. Say them as in Ferrari. Bass is going to be very happy. That punish. We're watching him now coming round into sector 3. Renault moving aside. Let him through. He comes into the final sector of this race. Round turn 13. Winding it up down that long straight to 14. Into turn 14 now. Nicely done. Last corner now coming up. Onto the start-finish straight. And Bastabreen for Ferrari takes the win here in Shanghai for F1 Tonight 2018. Boy Williamson just coming down round turn 13. Davey Hartman, his teammate, closely behind him. So Haas will be picking up 2nd and 3rd place for this Shanghai Championship race of 2018. Boy Williamson takes 2nd place. Davey Hartman for Haas takes 3rd place. Ruud Window for Williams takes 4th place. And Marco Pullen for Sauber takes 5th place. Jonathan Donkel, Force India, 6th. Jerome Portmer, Toro Rosso, takes 7th. Guido Airshine for Renault, just coming round turn 14. He will take 8th place for Renault, his teammate. Oh, Marcel Droning, would you believe it? Crashes out. Turn 10, oh my goodness. So there we have it. Bastabreen for Ferrari takes 1st place. Fantastic result for him. Amy Hartman for Haas takes 2nd, and Boy Williamson for Haas takes 3rd place. This has been F1 Tonight 2018 Season 1 Race 3, Shanghai, China. What a race it has been. We hope that you've enjoyed it. I know that I certainly have. And it's been a great, great result. So there we have it. Bastabreen is the winner. Boy Williamson, second. Williams, fourth. Sauber, fifth. Force India, sixth. Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso, seventh. Guido Ershine, eighth. Ninth, Marcel Droning, 10th. Mark Stappers, Peter Phil, his teammate. Marcel France, Sebastian Bogart, unfortunately, finishes down in 13th. Xavier Seamer, 14th. Nicky Visser, 15th. Daniel Ventol, 16th. 17, Martin Parder-Cooper, 18, Ryan Dronig, and 19, Ruben Bowman. What a shame. But what a great race it's been. We hope you've enjoyed it. We certainly have. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you very much for joining us, and good night.